Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning.
Good morning, Blake and Aaron.
How's it going?
Happy Tuesday. All is well.
What do you got for us this morning?
All right. So we've got a bit of excitement building about the upcoming air show.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's getting super, super pumped about that. Of course, there will be some closures as a result of it. So please be mindful of those in case you're going to decide to be out on a boat this weekend for some reason. For safety reasons, obviously there'll be some airspace restrictions, some boating restrictions, and undoubtedly some traffic restrictions as well. So the RCIPS trying to get ahead of this about what road closures will happen and the temporary marine restrictions for the air show. So essentially starting on Friday, December the 2nd at 8 a.m. and Saturday, December the 3rd at 6 due to the air show vendor village is what they're calling it. There'll be no public access to the parking lot at 7 Mile Beach. Parking is going to be available at the caboose site, and there will also be parking available at Camana Bay with a shuttle service provided. There will be a number of traffic management in place for the northbound lanes of the Esterly Tibbetts Highway between the 7 Mile Beach Roundabout and Yacht Club as well on Saturday, December the 3rd from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. So anyone intending to park at the caboose site will be required to utilize the left lane, and persons traveling towards West Bay or Yacht Club will utilize the right lane. So they're just going to shift it on the other side.
Okay.
Anyone traveling southbound will not be able to turn right at the Yacht Club roundabout or at the 7 Mile Beach roundabout. So just, expect there to be some differences as it relates to the traffic for the events this weekend. So, of course, there's going to be
able to go around the roundabout to the caboose site right there.
Yes. So you're going to go
all the way down and back.
All the way down. Yeah. So
what now?
So if you're coming from,
so there's going to be
Morgan's Harbor or Back Row or something, or live over there.
I mean, they haven't really provided any sort of diagram for this, which I think would actually be really, really helpful if they did, because there's some people who might get a little bit confused by written instructions. But yeah, there's no diagram or anything, but it sounds like you are going to go all the way down and back around.
What about I would think there'd be an entrance, though. There's another entrance once you take West Bay Road and you go, towards Cemetery Beach. Like if you go that direction, if you go just a little bit further up, there's another entrance to Kaboo if they went down that road. So I would think if you were coming from West Bay, that would utilize that entrance for those people coming in from the west. So you wouldn't have to go all the way down.
Oh, that was I don't know. I guess I need to see it.
There's an entrance off the roundabout.
Yeah, that's. And then if you go down a little bit more, there's another one.
Like, do you remember the old road, West Bay Road? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, now I know what you're talking about. Right in front of those condos, whatever they're called.
Down there, you could get in. As well.
Well, I do think they block the road off there with concrete.
No, you can turn down there, obviously, because if you're a resident, you.
Well, no, I think they block it off at a certain point down there. I don't know.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen.
Well, all I can tell you is if you're going to the air show, you live anywhere on West Bay Road, there is going to be a bit of traffic to be expected.
I got a great idea.
Weekend.
Do a staycation at the Kimpton.
Didn't they just
walk over?
Be able to park there
at the Kimpton?
Remember when you were staying there last time when it was the air show when it was meant to happen and then they canceled it, but you were doing a staycation there and they told you as guests you couldn't even park there.
Not guests. It's if you weren't a guest.
Oh, if you weren't a guest. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got that wrong. But yeah, no, that's the better idea. Do a staycation at the Kimpton. There you go.
If they have any space, they may already be booked out.
True.
That'd be cool to be able to watch it from the balcony right there, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, talk to us about.
So it's gonna be a bit of traffic to be expected. The police have arrested a wanted man and charged him with burglary. So his name should be a little bit familiar to all of us at this particular time because he's always in a bit of trouble. Mitchum Wood. located and arrested by police during an operation in Northside over the weekend on Saturday. And police say that based on observations made at the time of the arrest, they have reason to suspect that he was involved in a burglary that occurred earlier that day at a service station on Boddentown Road. Remember the one that we reported?
Yeah.
But
Which they technically never said that they never told us about that incident. But there you go.
I heard that, or I read that there was a foiled
Yes.
robbery last night. Talk to us about that.
Indeed. So again, the police have been really busy. They say that they've interrupted a robbery attempt in Prospect. So
Prospect.
yes, this was 3
Progress?
men.
Where? Oh, wow.
It was a restaurant or something, right? What restaurant?
Yeah, 3 men who were in the process of robbing a restaurant in Prospect last Friday fled after
like
they
the
saw the
jerk
police patrolling the
restaurant?
area.
The jerk stand restaurant?
They didn't specify which restaurant,
Hmm.
but they've said that shortly after 9:25 p.m., police officers were on patrol in the Prospect area, stopped by a member of the public at a restaurant located in the area. The officers were informed that 2 masked men had approached the restaurant brandishing handguns, while a third man stood at the entrance. Imagine that.
And did they get the people?
The men made threats and demanded money, but when they saw the police patrolling, they took off on foot in an unknown direction.
Mm-hmm.
No arrest made yet. No
Okay.
injuries reported, but they still got foiled. So it shows you that police, patrols work.
Yeah, for sure.
And so those should definitely be
But
increased.
you know what? They
as
got to
much as
turn those.
possible.
They have to turn those red and blue lights off. You can see them coming from like a mile away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, that is
Well,
very,
no,
very true.
I can see the cops coming. Let's get out of here before the cops even see them. It's
Yeah,
like,
maybe they should do a little bit of they could do a little bit of undercover, like use some of their undercover vehicles and just kind of stake out certain locations.
like even
That's my amateur opinion.
even if you're speeding, it's just like, oh, I see a cop coming way up there. Let's slow down. Gotta turn those lights off.
I was next to a cop with his lights on, and a car went by the speed sign and it started flashing 55 miles an hour.
Did
Cop
nothing.
did nothing. So
Well, maybe he was off duty.
his lights were on.
Oh, that's true.
I was
Seven
like,
more.
"Whoa."
Seven more migrants arrived in Cayman Brac. 7 more Cuban migrants arrived in Cayman Brac over a 2-day period. That was Thursday. 4 came in, 4 males, around 6:30 a.m. And on Saturday, they had another 3 males arriving at Spot Bay in Cayman Brac.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, a little bit of regional news. Jamaica, a company called JP Farms, which is Jamaica's most prominent commercial grower of bananas, announced that it's going to take legal action against fraudsters in Canada.
Okay.
They misrepresented its brand by selling bananas bearing fake JP branding. Kind of crazy.
It's like Banana Gate.
You didn't think people would fake a banana.
Is that a banana? Is
where's-
that a real banana? Or are you
Or you
Just
Yeah.
fake where
Yeah.
it's coming from.
they see me?
So that makes you wonder, where is it coming from? Anyway, it had fake JP branding and it was removed from the Canadian market. They're telling them to remove it as soon as possible. This is according to the Jamaica Gleaner. And the company notes that the imposter banana stickers are circular, whereas their JP stickers are actually oval.
Listen, when it's not a real Gucci bag. When it's not a real Louis Vuitton bag,
no.
right? That
Yeah.
is true. It's a banana. I mean, really?
So they're saying that apparently the fake
different.
Jamaican bananas are actually originating from other Caribbean islands, not
So?
Jamaica.
Okay.
Does Jamaica
Definitely not
have, like,
Cayman
the-
either,
They have the
'cause we
best
don't
bananas.
export
I mean,
bananas.
coffee's different. They
I have
good coffee.
bananas on my tree.
Can you put a JP
Can
sticker
I
on
put a
them?
JP sticker? on?
Did you put a JP farm sticker and send it all the way to Canada?
Yeah. It
Um,
cost a lot. I lost money on the venture.
Yeah. So anyway, they're saying that the trust in their product is being exploited, and they will be pursuing legal action against the Canadian stores who are selling the imposter bananas. But they
All right.
probably didn't know that they were selling imposter bananas. They probably just got them from whoever their supplier is.
Sure.
Anyway, those are some of your headlines for this morning.
Thank
Did you
Sandy.
notice our new overlay there, Blake?
I love it. I saw the
Yeah.
Kiss logo. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Catch Sandy's show right now on Bobo 89.1 FM. You are dialed in, right, Sandy? Just reminding you.
Oh, yes.
All
On
right.
it this morning. Got up bright and early.
We'll see you tomorrow for the Wednesday headlines. All right.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Our segment with
All right, folks. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are well. We do have some guests in the studio this morning, and we'll be bringing them in shortly. Hope you guys had a fabulous night. All right. Let's go ahead and get this show started. Good morning, everyone.
Peppermint, sorrel, ginger, fever grass, or English. Get it ready. Your morning tea just got hotter.
Ooh, honey child.
On the cold, hard truth. Bobo 89.1 and Cayman's #1 talk show are bringing you morning talk like no one else. Monday Rewind, Impact Wednesdays, Caribbean Connections, and much more. Don't miss a beat with what's happening in the local community. Just keep sipping your tea.
What a mess.
Here's your host, live and direct from the Cayman Islands, Sandy Hill.
Good morning to our beautiful audience. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Happy Tuesday to you. This week is well underway. We're right in the cusp, on the verge of launching the month of December. So get ready for that. That's on Thursday. And yeah, we're all ready. We see Miss Vernita is here. We're just giving our guests just a few more minutes to get themselves sorted out. We've got Diamond Princess also in the house. Olivia is here. Sujit says sniffer dogs would come in handy in such situations. Yes, and you know, Sujit, we are still waiting to get additional information on what might have transpired in relation to that police dog. We still haven't received any updates. And not only have we not received any updates, but quite frankly, we are also, you know, sort of wondering where are the other police dogs? We don't really see police dogs often. So that's a good idea, but something we'd have to probe a bit more. So Wee, good morning to you. Irvelyn, how are you? Miss Mia's in the house. She says, good morning, beautiful people. We have Marshall, who is also here with us, as well as Felicia and Bonnie. Miss Bonnie, of course, has got it locked, along with Chantel and numerous others. So we're back on a regular YouTube feed this morning. So please, if you were using the backup feed, you can now switch back to the regular one. And I will be sending out links here shortly just to remind everyone of where we're located in case you're watching us on social media. And don't forget, we're live every single morning on Bobo 89.1 FM. And Bobo also has an online live stream if for some reason you're in your office and you can't get access to YouTube or Facebook, because I know some offices block those, but you'd like to continue listening, just search for the Bobo link on Google search and it will come up and you can listen discreetly with your headphones on to the morning show. Hello, Miss Lulu. So a lot of you oftentimes tell me that, Sandy, you know, the show is so entertaining and so funny that even sometimes when you're at work, you're silently giggling, not so silently because your coworker is looking at you like, what is funny? And yes, you're like, oh gosh, Sandy's got me cracking up. I figure they probably knew that already. And they're just like, we know you're up to something over there in your corner of the office. Good morning to Gabby. Gabby's got it locked. She's ready for her morning tea. Miss Sheila is here. Good morning, Sheila. Talk what you know. Says morning, CMR fam. Hi, Carla. And Lulu says every day she's got it locked, and every day she is having a good chuckle. That's what we're here for. Serious conversations, yes. But what is life without a little bit of laughter in your life? So we got Health City in the house. Brazil, did they win yesterday? Who's playing today, by the way? Today we have, I know you guys are World Cup fans. We've got Ecuador and Senegal up at 10 o'clock. Then we have the Netherlands and, oh gosh, I even hate saying the host name because we know we're going to get it right. Qatar. I have no clue. Iran and the USA is up at 2 p.m. So then we have Wales and England on at 2 p.m. as well. So wait a minute. There's 2 games on at 2 p.m.? Oh, gosh. How are you guys going to manage? You're going to have to choose. Iran and the USA versus Wales and England. Wales and England, why are they playing each other? They're almost the same country. All right, folks. So some interesting games today. There've been a couple upsets already, but Brazil's playing now? Wait a minute. They're playing this morning? I thought they played yesterday. Okay, I just can't even keep up. So they're playing right now, says KK. All right, let me double check my schedule, because if they're playing right now, we want to make sure that we're on top of it. So yes, lots of football fever happening this time of year, of course. Are you sure they're playing today? I have 4 matches, and they're not on the list, honey chill. I kind of thought that they played yesterday, KK. Are you getting confused? Maybe you're watching a repeat. So Brazil played yesterday. They played Switzerland at 11 a.m. So yes, it must be a replay. Don't be confusing us now, because, we're confused enough around these parts. All right. So I'm assuming Brazil won. Otherwise, I probably would have heard a lot of outcry, and I didn't hear any. So good morning to John. He says, my hot tea is ready. Good morning to Alejandro. So good to see you. Talk what you know. Says, it's what Gramps Morgan sings about. It's all about love. Yes. Gabby confirms that Brazil did play yesterday, and I'm assuming that they are successful. KK, how can you be a fan of Brazil and you're watching a replay and didn't even know it wasn't live? She's like, regardless, same way, Team Brazil all the way. So I think that Brazil is definitely a favorite. So they won yesterday 1-0 against Switzerland. So there you go. Still doing well, still hanging in there. Evelyn is having a good chuckle at that one. All right. So we've got Health City in the house today. It is Medical Rundown Tuesdays. So pretty much every single Tuesday, they are here joining us for a very educational and still entertaining segment. I mean, I always learn a lot from these segments myself. And today's particular topic, I am very, very interested in. So we're going to be talking about what most of us call acid reflux, GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease, or chronic acid reflux. We've all had a little bit of it, I feel, in our lifetime, but those who suffer from it on a chronic level will have to know that it's not a very nice situation at all. So first up in the house, we've got Miss Rebecca Brooks, who is head of marketing and sales at Health City Cayman Islands. Good morning to Rebecca. How are you?
Good morning. Yes, I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Okay, we're fantastic. Thanks for joining us. I believe this is your first time, so welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Yes, this is my first time, but
yes,
I'm delighted to be on the show.
So we've also got Dr. Sunil, who is going to be joining us as well, and he's a senior consultant gastroenterologist. So big words there. Dr. Sunil, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Sandy. Morning. Nice to see you.
Yes, thank you so much. It's very, very good to see you as well. So we're going to be talking about one of those things that I feel like we've all suffered from a little bit. But of course, we're going to be talking about individuals who are on the more on the chronic side of things. So acid reflux is normally the common layman's term for it. We're going to talk about exactly what GERD is this morning and when does it become chronic. But give us a baseline definition of what chronic acid reflux is, or GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease.
It simply means that the stomach contents flow into the esophagus. Normally it shouldn't, but when it does, it is called gastroesophageal reflux. So it is from the gastric side to the esophageal side, And when it becomes a chronic reflux, it becomes a disease. So that's the entire form of a gastroesophageal reflux disease. The esophagus is not supposed to handle acid. So when the acid comes up from the stomach into the esophagus, the lining slowly gets damaged and destroyed. So that leads to esophagitis. And esophagitis leads to the symptoms of the patient. And the main symptoms a patient experiences is you will experience heartburn, sour taste in your mouth, sore throat, sometimes persistent cough, ear, nose, throat complaints. So you get a variety of symptoms which are more related to the chest as well as the throat. So this encompasses the disease per se.
All right. So let's talk about then some of the specific symptoms that people can oftentimes look for. Does this particular disease mimic anything else? So are there other things that are very similar? Like if I'm just having regular heartburn, how do I know then that it's a chronic situation of acid reflux?
Yeah, it's a very pertinent question, but this question we asked first to ourselves prior to dealing with gastroesophageal reflux. So if a patient comes to you with a heartburn, we do make sure that it's not cardiac in origin. So we normally refer a patient to a cardiologist, make sure the cardiac status is evaluated, just at least a basic ECG or an echo, and make sure that you don't have a cardiac problem, and only label as a chronic GERD if the cardiac status is normal.
Okay. So chest pain, sore throat and hoarseness in the morning in particular, trouble swallowing, tightness in the throat or feeling of choking, and of course, a chronic cough, which is something I seem to always have, but I don't have any of the other symptoms, and even vomiting. So, I think everyone has kind of experienced a little bit of acid reflux. When you have that late night fried, oily meal that you probably shouldn't have been eating after 8 o'clock. And then you're so tired that you just like fall asleep and you go to bed and you lie flat and then you feel it like it hasn't quite settled. And it's that burning in your chest that's very, very different and unique. So that's like a one-off acid reflux situation. How often do you have to have it in order for it to be considered chronic?
Generally, it's a 4 weeks duration. We say that any symptom is chronic when one to treatment, two it is lasting more than 4 weeks.
Wow, I can't imagine having that for 4 weeks. So normally when you see people, then Dr. Sunil, there are in a lot of discomfort when they come and see you. So just walk us through sort of the initial process of how you assess that they do have, chronic acid reflux, and then what are some of the treatment options that we're going to be looking at?
See, when a patient comes to you, especially as a gastroenterologist, this is not a first-time consultation. Generally, they are referred, they are refractory, they have already undergone treatment. They might still be on treatment and with a partial relief. So we may have to investigate even during the primary consultation, the first consultation. So the investigation is centered around, one, is there an anatomical breakdown of the gastroesophageal junction? Is there a structural abnormality there which predisposes the patient to a reflux? So you do an endoscopy. Once you do an endoscopic evaluation, we know whether the structure of that patient is normal, whether the esophagus has been pulled up, whether the stomach, there is a hiatal hernia, is there a very lax gastroesophageal junction. So these things are identified during that endoscopy. Number two, if we find the esophagitis, we grade them. There are 3 or 4 grades of esophagitis. There is a mild form, we call it grade A, a moderate form, which is grade B, and a severe form, which is either grade C or grade D. Now, once the grading is done, we would definitely like to know whether is it the acid which is refluxing up or is it the bile. Sometimes the bile reflux can occur, and the patient complaints has to be correlated, or a further management has to be done after knowing what kind of refluxate is present in the esophagus. So we go for something what is called a 24-hour pH monitoring. A 24-hour pH monitoring is a very simple test where we put in a small capsule in the esophagus, and the patient can walk around with a recorder in the belt. It's a wireless monitoring. So they do their own jobs, they go to sleep. They just record whenever you're eating a meal, they record an event. Whenever they experience a heartburn, they record that event. And when that events are recorded, we run through the 24-hour events which are happening inside the esophagus. So it's called a capsule pH monitoring. So once you do that, you know there is a reflux, there is a structural abnormality. Now these require treatment more than pharmacological. It requires treatment like maybe we may have to go ahead with repairing the valve. We may have to go ahead with a laparoscopic surgery to correct the diaphragmatic hernia. So these things may have to be done depending on the severity and the structural abnormality you detect during these investigations.
Wow.
So, yeah, and if you look into the treatment or restructuring of the valve, we are now offering them endoscopic restructuring. You don't have to undergo a laparoscopy or surgery for that. It's a kind of a day care procedure where you can repair that valve by an endoscope. If you don't have a diaphragmatic hernia, which needs a surgical repair, of course, we don't have an endoscopic repair for a hernia, but then if you have a lax gastroesophageal junction without a hernia, we can easily repair it with endoscope, restructure the valve. So that's what we are into.
All right. We do have some questions that are coming in this morning. Of course, you can call into the program if you have a question for the specialist here from Health City Cayman Islands, 936-2626. That's 936-BOBO. So we do have Sujit who says, is GERD more common in some communities as compared to others? So perhaps he's thinking about like communities who eat a lot of spicy foods. Do they tend to suffer more from chronic acid reflux than others who don't? Or does it is it mostly evenly across different populations in different communities?
If you look at the subset of people who suffer from gastroesophageal reflux, generally they are in the category of an excess weight with a larger tummy, with a habit of drinking excess of alcohol, especially carbonated beverages. If you are in the habit of lying down immediately after food intake, if you're more lazier, more of a person who prefers a bed rather than a vertical position, those people are more prone to gastroesophageal reflux. It's not a community-based thing because spicy food, yes, it aggravates it. It does. But then there are more important things. Even citrus fruits can aggravate it. So this is more related to the body habitus, some developmental abnormalities in the diaphragm or the esophagus. And lifestyles which we build up over the years. So we find reflux more for people after the age of 40, 45 years when your abdominal girth keeps on becoming bigger and bigger. So this is a kind of not related to a community, it's related to more of a lifestyle and body habitus.
Wow. So let's talk about some of those things, Sujit. that might be causing you to have an episode of chronic GERD. Now, can it go away? Can you have a chronic, 4 weeks and then it goes away on its own? Or would you definitely at that point recommend medical intervention?
Yep. If you are suffering from a heartburn or an acid reflux and it is troubling you for more than 4 weeks, definitely a consultation is due. You're generally put on an acid suppressant. That's what's universally being done throughout the world. We put them on what is called a proton pump inhibitor. It's called pantoprazole or omeprazole or lansoprazole. One of those proton pump inhibitors are used for suppression of the acid. And once acid gets suppressed, the symptoms gradually fade off. Now,
Yes.
the problem here is if there is a structural abnormality, when you stop the medication, the symptoms recur. So, acid suppression is a temporary measure to control the symptoms, but it won't cure the reflux. So that's what is generally being faced by people who consult us because they are on acid suppression for a long time. And that's something which we don't recommend also. If you are on acid suppression for 2 or 3 years, you tend to develop certain side effects of the drug. Plus, the acid suppression will prevent absorption of certain minerals. Plus, the acid suppression will take about a part of the immunity because it's a barrier to control the bacteria or the viruses which enter through our food or water into the stomach.
Very interesting. All right. So Sandra is on the live feed. She says, wow, this is interesting. 99% of GERD is bad dietary habits, says Sujit. So there are other risk factors, however, that one should know about. For example, obesity. So tell us how obesity contributes to having chronic acid reflux.
Sandra, you can imagine a person whose tummy girth is growing. So the girth grows because there is a lot of fat inside. Now the fat stretches the diaphragm. When the tummy grows, the diaphragm gets automatically stretched. And when that stretches on, the esophagus actually goes through a small hole in the diaphragm called hiatus. Now the hiatus becomes bigger. Yeah, beautiful picture. So you can see that fine tube, which is a food pipe, enters the stomach, which is a sac-like organ, and that junction is the one which in fact, when the diaphragm becomes stretched, that junction slowly migrates up through that hole into the chest. So we lose the valvular function of that junction. So the stomach contents freely reflux back into the esophagus. So whenever we eat some food, and definitely if you have got a tendency to lie down immediately, this is like a bottle with the cap open, and then you tilt the bottle, the contents flow out. So this is exactly what happens in obesity. Because of the stretch involved, the diaphragmatic pinch or that valvular function of the gastroesophageal junction is lost. They tend to develop something called a hiatal hernia. That's called a hiatal hernia. So obesity is a part of that. And two, obese people have got a general tendency to eat a lot. So the stomach is reaching a threshold where it is really full, and whenever it starts contracting to digest the food, some amount is squeezed up into the esophagus. So you have got a lifestyle habit of eating a lot, stretching the stomach, stretching the diaphragm, creating hiatal hernia, and then the kinds of food you eat. If you eat a lot of fat-containing food, if you eat a lot of carbonated stuff, these things reflux up a lot because fat takes time to digest. And because it takes time to digest, it remains in the stomach for a longer time, and that has got a more chance of refluxing out. So these are the problems which obese people face.
So losing weight might be a good thing in terms of helping if you have chronic GERD disease. Yes.
Yes, losing weight is definitely one of the number one treatment modalities we recommend for reducing the reflux.
Very good. And we also have pregnancy. So of course, this is something that, is going to happen probably to a lot of women in their lives. And I'm assuming it's just one of the side effects, the expansion of that particular area will impact not just the stomach, but the esophagus as well.
Yeah, definitely. Did you mention pregnancy?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. See, pregnancy is a situation where the fetus actually grows into the abdomen. From the pelvic area. When it crosses the pelvic summit and grows into the abdomen, it compresses on a lot of organs. So one of the organs which definitely is affected is the stomach, because stomach being a reservoir of food, when it gets compressed, some amount of reflux is bound to happen. Second, the diaphragm also gets stretched. When the diaphragm gets stretched, it's like a situation where you are obese. And number three is there are certain hormones which are secreted during pregnancy, which are called relaxants. They are all hormones which will, in fact, slow down the peristaltic movements. So the forward transit in the GI tract is affected. So it tends to come back. So these are the situations which are created by pregnancy. This is a beautiful diagram. Sandra, that shows the gastroesophageal valve, the sphincter, how the diaphragm creates a pinch. You can see the diaphragm on either side, creating a pinch on the esophagus. Now, when the diaphragm is that pinch is gone, that valve becomes pretty loose.
Yes.
So this valve is the one which is the what do you call the most important anatomical barrier to reflux. So if this barrier is broken, reflux is always there. So when we treat a patient, one of the things which we have to assess is there an intact barrier or is the barrier broken? If it is broken, if the diaphragm is involved, then it has to be surgically repaired, because we can't repair the diaphragm endoscopically. You can see it is outside the GI tract. But if it is the valve which is inside, which is the problem, we can repair it endoscopically. That's what we do, is called a TIF procedure, TIF. It is transoral incisionless fundoplication.
And what is so interesting about the feeling, like I said, I've had it kind of a couple times, thankfully nothing chronic, but I mean, literally the burning, it does feel like a burn, and you feel it coming all the way up kind of in the throat area. So if someone has ever, suffered from this, whether chronic or just the occasional episode, you know that it's the most uncomfortable feeling. And of course, that is why you've got a gastroenterologist like Dr. Sunil, who is able to properly diagnose this and to get you the treatment that is going to kind of control this as quickly as possible. So don't suffer in pain, Rebecca. You guys have an entire complement of specialists at your disposal at Health City. And this is but another example of why it's so important to have them on board, because we suffer from all sorts of ailments, sometimes chronic, sometimes on the verge of being chronic. And of course, we want to know that the specialists are here on island. We don't have to go overseas for what would, be sort of a rudimentary treatment otherwise. So tell us a little bit about Dr. Sunil's, department, where he can be found at Health City.
Yeah, so Dr. Sunil is based both at Health City at East End, and also he has a clinic at Cabana Bay. He has a colleague, Dr. Cyril, who's also a gastroenterologist. So they make the great team that we have here. And both of them, like I said, are both available at both locations. So it makes it easier for you to get to. In terms of just having initial workups, if you wanted to see one of our internal medicine specialists, we have an array of internal medicine specialists, again, both at Health City East End and in Georgetown at Camana Bay. So we do have a great team of specialists that can certainly help you, particularly if you have GERD or suffering from any sort of gastrointestinal issue. One of the other things that Dr. Sunil is also becoming very famous for is his overstitch procedure as well, which actually is probably a good treatment in itself in terms of suffering with GERD, because it also helps to counteract obesity as well. So I don't know whether Dr. Sunil wants to talk a little bit about that too, because he's been doing it for 3 months, and it's had some quite good success stories so far. So I don't know whether you want to have a quick chat about that, Dr. Sunil.
Sure.
Oh yeah, Rebecca, thank you for that reminder. Overstitch is something which we started about 3-4 months back, and we have had some pretty good results with it. This is again an endoscopic procedure where we offer that to patients who are having excess weight, but between a BMI of 30 to 40. It's not for persons who are super obese or above 40 BMI. But then 30 to 40, patients who want to lose a weight of around 50 pounds to 60 pounds can avail that procedure. What it entails is, with the endoscope, we go in and reduce the volume of the stomach by suturing up the walls. So the stomach volume is reduced to maybe 30% of its original volume, and that prevents overeating. It reduces the appetite, and it brings down the weight by around 50 to 60 pounds. It's a moderate target. It's not a huge target because it's a physiological reduction in volume. We are not cutting away the part of the stomach. So this is something that's called an overstitch procedure. We have done a dozen of it so far, and it looks very promising because it's being offered to patients who have even comorbidity, like a diabetic patient, early diabetes, sometimes related to obesity. This can be reversed by the procedure when you lose that weight. It controls the hypertension. For example, if you lose 60 pounds, you lose at least 10 millimeters of pressure. And if you have a cardiac morbidity, a coronary artery disease, all these patients can undergo this procedure because it's a kind of a daycare procedure. The patient comes in the morning, gets a procedure done, and maybe an overnight observation, and they are discharged the next morning. So the side effects are few, and the patients lose around 15 to 20% of weight over a period of 1 year. But then diet and exercise becomes a part of the schedule also. Don't think that this is a miracle thing which creates an extreme loss of weight. No. But it motivates patients because the amount of weight loss, in fact, triggers of their desire to stick to a diet and exercise schedule and maintain their figure and form. Yeah.
Very good. Wow. So we do have a viewer or listen to the program on WhatsApp. He says, morning, Sandra. I'm suffering from GERD for years now. Wow. Can you ask Dr. Sunil if starving oneself can cause GERD as well? I was doing a 2-day complete fast, and it was after that I started to have severe GERD. Maybe I damaged my stomach doing that. I don't know. I was doing that intermittent fasting trend. So can something like intermittent fasting contribute? I mean, we see obesity can, pregnancy, we'll get to some of the others as well. But is fasting anywhere on that list?
Oh, no. Fasting is not on the list of gastroesophageal reflux, no. But then a person who is fasting, if he still has got a heartburn, see, the problem here is we have to differentiate the heartburn from the retrosternal burning to the upper abdominal burning. So most of the people who have an upper abdominal burning is more related to the stomach issues rather than the esophageal issues. So if you're thinking in terms of an epigastric means somewhere in the upper abdomen, that's the site of burning. It's more related to stomach. It may not be related to the esophagus. If a person has got still a retrosternal burning sensation, even when he or she is fasting, it means that there is an issue with the gastroesophageal junctional valve. That valve might be loose. There might be a hiatal hernia, and the acid which is in the stomach, the acid comes in whether you're fasting or not. So that can still reflux up. So it's not fasting which is the issue. It is more related to either a breakdown of the anatomical barrier, or the patient is localizing the burning sensation in a wrong way. I mean, he thinks it's a burning, but it's in the upper abdomen rather than the retrosternal area.
So to that caller, definitely go and see Dr. Sunil, because they can properly diagnose you with it instead of you having to suffer for years. So smoking is also on the list, or anyone who's regularly exposed to secondhand smoke. So this is quite interesting. How does smoking impact GERD?
Yeah, smoking is something which increases the acid output. Primarily, we have people who have acid output or acid production more than other people. So smoking is definitely an instigator to more acid output. Number one. Number two, when you have a smoke, apart from the nicotine, there are other things also inside it which relaxes the gastroesophageal junction. The junctional tone is lost in many of the smokers. 3, the smokers tend to have more of respiratory symptoms, and the diaphragmatic pinch, everything might relax because of their respiratory cough, their wheezing, the things that they have as an accompaniment of the smoke. And the last thing is the blood supply to the mucosal lining. See, all these linings have got their own protection, which is devised when we are born, because the acid is secreted in the stomach, but the stomach is not getting digested. The stomach has got its own protection, its own barriers. So these barriers are dependent on the blood flow into the stomach or the esophagus. Now, when the blood flow comes down, as you know, most of the smoking issues are related to blood flow. The protective barriers are lost because that depends on the blood flow. So the acid which is secreted in higher output because of the smoking is damaging the lining more, because the lining loses its protective barriers secondary to another effect of the smoke. So definitely, we can't recommend smoking for a gastroesophageal reflux disease patient. And of course, if you have a chronic GERD and you find that the patient develops esophagitis, which is refractory, a smoker is more prone to develop malignancy in that area compared to other people.
So it can be extremely dangerous.
Yeah, that's one of the worst scenario of a chronic gastroesophageal reflux. You develop something called a Barrett's esophagus. Barrett's esophagus is something which is a pre-malignant change which happens in the lower esophagus.
And of course, people do get esophageal cancer as well. So it's something to definitely not do in any event. Taking certain medications may also cause acid reflux. So what sort of medications are we talking about here?
Medications which produces acid reflux is something which relaxes the gastroesophageal junction. See, being a muscular area, anything which relaxes the muscle or reduces the peristalsis, reduces the forward movement, So all these drugs can produce reflux. They are predominantly called anticholinergic effect. Anticholinergic effect comes with certain drugs like the drugs which you use for asthma, especially the deriphyllins, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, the antidepressants like amitriptyline. So there are different forms of drugs. The ones which are used for hypertension, the calcium channel blockers, because calcium channel is required for peristalsis. So once that is blocked by the drug, a free reflux can sometimes occur. So the regular pharmacy as well as the occasional pharmacy can also induce reflux.
Anything like stress? Can stress be a contributing factor? Someone's asking.
Yeah, stress can induce reflux, but that's more of a motility disturbance which is happening there. Because Sandy, there's something called a brain gut axis. So whenever stress is there, the emotions sometimes drive your intestinal movements. So we tend to sometimes have bloating or burning, or you get weird symptoms in the GI tract secondary to stress. And one of them is reduced movement of the gastric peristalsis, which can increase the reflux.
Well, it's important to manage stress, folks, in any event. Stress can do a lot of things, and I'm convinced that it can even bring on a coronary incident. So you want to find whatever healthy stress management tools that are available to you, whether it's meditation, cursing somebody out is always an option sometimes. Not always an option, but sometimes an option. Meditation is probably the best option. A little bit of exercise, whatever helps that is healthy, that isn't going to do more damage. So sometimes I know that there are people who will smoke and drink and take on really, really poor habits, overeat because they are stressed out. So look at adopting some of the healthier habits that are less harm inducing. So we do have Gerald who says that I had this problem, but no more at all. Simply take true honey, full spoon, sprinkle cinnamon powder all over the honey, cover it all over the honey, and then mix in your mouth and swallow slowly. Don't eat or drink anything for an hour, and do this 4 times, usually at night before bedtime. And trust me, 2 days, you're good as ever. Continue for a few months. So that sounds like a lot of honey and cinnamon.
I think he's out to cut our business.
Any medical evidence that honey and cinnamon might actually help if you're having an episode of
honey is yeah, you're right, Sandra. Now I think Gerard is right also, because honey has got a healing protective effect on the mucosa. It does. But mind you, these are all for mild and occasional reflux. These are home remedies for mild reflux.
Yes.
Because honey provides a coating. It has got immunoglobulins. It's got it's supposed to be having healing powers on the mucosa. Yeah, definitely. Honey is one of those home remedies for many things. You can apply honey on the wounds. You can apply honey on the mucosal surfaces which are ulcerated. So definitely it has got a soothing effect, and it has got a symptomatic relief when you consume honey. But they don't correct the structural problems which happen inside that gastroesophageal junction. What they do is they just give a symptomatic relief for a mild reflux. Yes, but not for severe refractory kind of reflux, which we tend to see.
Yes. What is it pronounced a hiatal hernia?
Hiatal hernia.
Hiatal hernia.
Hiatal.
Yes.
The word comes from that opening in the diaphragm, which is called hiatus. So through which the esophagus goes down. Now,
Yes.
Once that hiatus becomes bigger, the stomach can come up through that. Oh, that's what's called a hiatal hernia.
Wow. That does not sound very pleasant at all. So I've been in this situation where you're having a bout of heartburn. You actually think you're having a heart attack. How do you know it's not a heart attack and it's only heartburn?
Oh, yeah,
Sometimes I think it's probably very difficult to know the difference.
yeah, you're right. So that's one reason when a person complains of an epigastric discomfort and retrosternal discomfort, a cardiac evaluation is the first thing we do, because the ticker is more important than the reflux.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so any sort of movement, heartburn, or burning feeling in the chest that can move up the neck and throat, that's heartburn, whereas a heart attack tends to cause pain more in the arms, neck, and the jaw area, and may be accompanied with shortness of breath, sweating, nausea, dizziness, and extreme fatigue and anxiety.
Yeah, you are well educated regarding the symptoms, but then we tend to be skeptical about just relying on the symptoms and leaving the heart alone. If a patient has got retrosternal discomfort, whether it radiates or whether it doesn't radiate, some retrosternal or epigastric discomfort which is induced by an exertion of the body, that's a more cardinal symptom for us to
Right.
consider that there is a underlying cardiac problem. If it is induced by definitely exertion of the body, suppose it is induced by eating, then we can attribute that more to gastroesophageal reflux. So the associated situation is the most important. The finer aspects of radiation to the jaw, radiation to the arms, all these things are can be mimicked by gastroesophageal reflux also. So we don't rely much on those symptoms.
And I want to ask you about sort of another potential home remedy. So one night I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh man, I think this is heartburn. Hopefully it's not the ticker, as you say, it's not the heart. And I started Googling, we're all Dr. Google these days. And so for about 5 minutes, I became Dr. Google, and I read somewhere that just take a teaspoon of like apple cider vinegar. And I did do that and it went away quite miraculously. How does apple cider vinegar, which most people would associate that with being acidic, actually help with heartburn? Or was that all in my head?
See, these things, taking something when you have a reflux and the disappearance of the symptoms, you have to make sure it is a reflux. I told you, these symptoms can be mimicked by different kinds of situation. For example, if you have a mild gastritis, if you have a mild form of, for example, an H. pylori infection, these things can all mimic the same kind of gastroesophageal reflux disease-like of symptoms. So whenever you are consuming something, and it's an anecdotal report, a person says that I consumed vinegar at that time. Why? Vinegar is 2% acetic acid. And then you have acetic acid, and then you say that your symptoms have disappeared. It may not be a reflux at all. See, one of the older tests, in fact, before this endoscope came and before the 24-hour pH monitoring came, 30, 40 years back, what we used to study was you infuse acid into the esophagus for a patient with a retrosternal burning and reproduce the symptom to diagnose the gastroesophageal reflux disease. So you have to reproduce that symptom by instilling acid into the esophagus. It's called Bernstein test. It's a very famous test during that era. So just infuse 1% hydrochloric acid into the esophagus. And then when the patient says, I've got heartburn, yes, that's it. We have reproduced the heartburn and it is acid induced. So I cannot explain your apple vinegar, if it is acidic, how the symptoms disappeared. It may not be related to reflux at all.
Well, I can tell you it seemed to have worked, and it's worked since then. So maybe it's psychosomatic, but we'll go with it for now. Thankfully, it's not chronic. So, of course, one of the questions that I'm sure a lot of people are wondering this morning as they're listening to this program is if they have GERD, is this something that is life-threatening? Is it going to kill them? And is it something that they really need to get in right away to have treatment for? So let's talk about the life-threatening component of GERD.
Yeah, life-threatening component in the acute situation is a wrong diagnosis, where we diagnose a cardiac problem as a gastroesophageal reflux. That should be number one problem which the patient might face. Number two, a chronic GERD, if it is on treatment with a prolonged proton pump inhibitor, the proton pump inhibitor itself can induce a lot of body changes, like ranging from calcium, magnesium, iron deficiencies, B12, because they are all acid dependent vitamins and minerals which are needed for the body. So long-term proton pump inhibitor therapy, we don't recommend much. And the kidney failure, which can sometimes be associated with it, it's all long-term, it's not the short-term. Now, then the reflux per se can induce esophageal lining changes, which lead to premalignant changes. It is called a Barrett's esophagus. Now, when we detect a Barrett's esophagus, we put these patients on surveillance. These patients then undergo an endoscopy and a biopsy every 3 to 5 years. And then if a premalignant situation is detected, then we have to either remove, resect, or ablate it. So these are what you call the life-threatening situations. Sometimes huge hiatal hernia patients, they can aspirate because when they lie down, the entire contents of the stomach can reflux back into the esophagus. And there are people who have aspirated and they have presented to the triage with pneumonia or acute respiratory distress. So reflux is a kind of mild to sometimes a severe life-threatening problem.
Wow. All right. And it's a lot more common, folks, than you might realize or that you might know. And in fact, one of the reasons why we're having this discussion today is that we just celebrated, Americans just had Thanksgiving. And so it is GERD Awareness Week. So yes, there is such a thing. So the more you know about this disease, folks, the more and quicker you can hopefully get treatment. Here's a little bit of a factoid for you. Roughly 1 in every 5 American adults actually suffer from GERD. So again, it's something that you definitely want to get treatment for. And right around Thanksgiving, perfect time to have it Awareness Week, because of course we're all eating a little bit extra going into the holidays for sure. So you might be looking at more serious health problems if you leave this untreated. Everything from esophagitis, Barrett's esophagus, esophageal cancer, and strictures. What is strictures? What is that?
Strictures are narrowing of the esophageal lumen. The narrowing happens primarily because of scarring. So as the esophagitis heal and then recur, it tends to constrict the lumen of the esophagus, and then food might get stuck there. And the patients come with sometimes a bolus impaction, bolus of food, especially meat, sometimes banana pieces, sometimes potato wedges. They all get stuck there because it can't pass through that small narrow area. It's a scarred area. Actually, it's a process of recurrent inflammation and scarring.
Okay. All right, folks. We're going to be going into the final bit here. Let's talk a little bit. We've talked about what it is. Some of the diagnostic tools that are available include the endoscopy, which of course you'd need the help of Dr. Sunil, another expert at Health City, to get that done. And you also have the upper GI series. So what is that exactly?
The upper GI series is something which a person sometimes who is really afraid of endoscopy. This is a what you call inferior alternative to diagnose a hiatal hernia. So what is being done is there is something called barium. Barium is an X-ray contrast. So this is diluted in water, and the patient drinks that, and Then when it goes down through the gastroesophageal junction, the patient is tilted a bit up and down, and the amount of reflux of this barium can be seen in a X-ray machine that's called a fluoroscope. So this is an alternative, but we don't prefer much because we don't tend to diagnose a Barrett's esophagus there. We don't tend to diagnose the esophagitis or grade it. So this is a kind of just to know whether there is a reflux happening. Is there an anatomical breakdown there?
Mm-hmm. Very good. All right. Another interesting bit of information in terms of who is impacted by this. I mean, it's actually quite a few people, a lot more than I ever thought, but apparently millions of people around the world have difficulty with GERD. And if you're one of the people who are suffering from this, the message this morning, that there really is no need for you to suffer. So 19 million people suffer daily, 42 million weekly. So it's considered quite common. And they say 81 million people in total, about a quarter of all Americans will have had some sort of, regular episode of GERD. So lots of commonalities there. And again, the symptoms can make you go to the doctor often. Over 6.3 million diagnostic tests. This is from the US. And of course, 3.8 million hospitalizations. So if this goes untreated for a while, hospitalization might actually be required.
Hospitalization is required. I told you there are certain situations. One of them is definitely aspiration and respiratory discomfort, which these people come from. One of the common diagnoses which the pulmonologist or the ENT surgeon now entertains is gastroesophageal reflux. They look into your throat and say that you're suffering from that. The pulmonologist sees the respiratory parameters and the evolution of the disease, and they say that it is because of reflux. So many people consulting the ENT surgeon or the pulmonologist are on proton pump inhibitor acid suppression therapy. So they come to the triage often.
Yes. And one of the reasons that you want to ensure that you're getting a proper diagnosis is because, sometimes you're trying to self-diagnose yourselves. Never a great idea. I jokingly talked about Dr. Google, but a lot of us now feel like we are the experts. And it's one of those things that it can be very, very complex. So here's a slide just demonstrating how deceptively complex GERD can actually be. So you might have some typical symptoms: heartburn, chest pain, excessive salivation, regurgitation, gas, bloating, trouble sleeping, and sensitive to certain foods and liquids. However, there are atypical, symptoms as well: a persistent cough, a chronic sore throat, difficulty swallowing, frequent swallowing, even asthma, hoarseness, excessive throat clearing, which is something I do all the time. Bad breath, dental erosions or gum disease, and discomfort in the ears and nose. So sometimes you go to the dentist, and the dentist can actually see that there's something going on that is of concern, and then they might refer you to someone, hopefully Dr. Sunil, who can then, undertake additional testing to kind of narrow down the diagnosis. So folks, if you're just joining us on radio this morning or in the live stream, we are talking about gastrointestinal disease, chronic heartburn. Some of us will oftentimes call it gastrointestinal reflux disease is a proper term, or chronic acid reflux. So there's no need to suffer. I think that's the good news, because a lot of us will just sit back needlessly when we could be seeing an expert to get some much needed assistance with this. All right. So prevention, a lot of people are also listening and thinking, well, what can I do to help myself? So let's talk about some of the things, Dr. Sunil, that one can undertake that would be particularly effective with assisting.
Yeah. Now we have got a good list of foods there, which definitely will help you. The high fiber, the alkaline, the watery, non-citrus fruits, vegetables. But two simple things which we can do is one, have an early dinner and go to bed 2 to 3 hours minimum after taking your dinner. If you're in the habit of sleeping immediately after food, uh, whether you whether you have an anatomical breakdown or not, reflux is a common thing because it's like, as I told you, like a bottle being tilted. So it is definitely one of the easiest things you can do is that. And two, if you suffer from mild reflux at night, there is something called head end elevation. Head end elevation is at the head end of the cot. You can put a small wooden block, which is around 6 inches, and create a small slant because there is a gravity dependent reflux which is happening at night. So this can be prevented by what is called the head end elevation. It's not using pillows in the head. Pillows in the head just flex your neck. But then the cot, the head end of the cot, you will have to raise by putting a 6 inch block under it. So this will create a small slant to maybe a 15-degree slant, and that should be enough to prevent mild reflux happening at night. So head and elevation and going to bed 2 to 3 hours after taking a meal and eating light dinners, not heavy fatty dinners. So these are the general recommendations we provide for mild reflux patients. Definitely, the kind of food you take does matter. As you call spicy food, greasy food, acidic foods, fatty foods, carbonated drinks. Definitely, they are all prone for reflux. The spicy food actually aggravates any heartburn you have. The greasy food find it difficult to get digested, so it keeps on refluxing. The fatty foods and the carbonated drinks, obviously, because when you take a carbonated drinks, you can see the bubble coming up into the esophagus. You can visualize it. So these are things definitely which maybe if you have a reflex, you should try to avoid. And these are possibly the small home remedies you can apply. That is head and elevation and taking a light dinner and going to bed late. Yep.
All right, folks. So some great advice there, trying to achieve and maintain a healthy weight. Eat small, frequent meals rather than the larger, huge meals. Reduce your fatty intake. Sit upright while eating and stay upright for 45 to 60 minutes afterwards. Avoid eating too close to bedtime. So give yourself at least 3 hours before going to bed. Try not to wear tight clothing that might be tight in the abdominal area. When sleeping, raise the head of the bed 6 to 8 inches. You can use, some methods to do that. It says using blocks under the bed, doesn't work. Stop smoking. And then some foods that can trigger chronic acid reflux: spicy foods, fried foods, fatty foods, chocolate. What's chocolate doing on that list? I think that's a typo.
Chocolate, the cocoa and the butter.
Oh man, go figure. Tomato sauces, garlic and onions, alcohol, coffee, and carbonated drinks, and citrus fruits are some trigger foods as well. And of course, if it's chronic, you guys know what to do. Call Dr. Sunil at Health City Cayman Islands, because they're the experts and they can properly diagnose you. I've had someone send in a very interesting question. This person says all of those symptoms are the same as scleroderma. How would you differentiate the difference? And this is why you need an expert, because you shouldn't be trying to self-diagnose yourself, especially if it's a chronic situation. Go to the experts and they will tell you if you have anything else that you need to be worried about. Scleroderma versus acid reflux, they'll narrow it down for you. Miss Lucille joining us from overseas. Miss Lucy says, "Good morning, Sandy, and also doctors. I'm listening to you, and I do not know what kind of reflux I will get, but for now, I don't have that problem." Well, that's very good. She says, "I know my eating pattern is disgusting. I get out of bed every hour of the night." Really? "And eat. I'm not a greedy person, but I pick around food. Doctor, please do not talk about smoking. I will have to skip Tuesday program. Love you, doctor, very much." Lucille, sounds like you're a smoker to me. Don't get offended just for your best health. We're all trying to do better. So we all have our Achilles heel. For some, it's smoking. For some, it's stress. For some, it's the weight control issues or dietary issues and so on. So Marshall says a lot of people suffer because they don't have the money or adequate insurance coverage to be able to get treatment. So Rebecca, tell us a little bit then about how one can get in to see the physicians at Health City, and obviously what insurance options you actually will accept at Health City.
Yeah, so we accept all major insurances from the Cayman Islands, and we actually only charge the standard health fee, so there's no additional costs other than what the insurance will reimburse at, so that's always good. If you need to make an appointment, you can either reach out via email to info@healthcity.ky, or you can give us a call on 640-4040, and we'd be happy to schedule an appointment with one of our gastroenterologists. We are also, which is a little bit of a secret, about to launch a new app, which will be able to you'll be able to have on your phones or on your computers, and you'll be able to just schedule your appointments online. Call, and you'll also be able to access your medical records as well. So it's about to go live very soon, and you'll probably be one of the first people to hear about it, Sandy. So
wow,
so we're working at the moment, and yes, and if there is any issues with sort of payments or anything else, please don't let that deter you from coming to see us. We do have a finance team that might be able to help you, so please make sure you get treated if you can. We're always here and happy.
Yes. All right, so that's a bit of good news. I'm sure that you guys will, as the app rolls out, have a segment on that so we can learn a little bit more about it. Miss Ethel, good morning to you. Gabby says, what about Cayman First? Are you accepting them? She did say all major health insurance, so I think they're on the list.
Yeah, we accept. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, beautiful. So Dr. Sunil, thank you so much. Rebecca Brooks, who is the head of marketing and sales at Health City Cayman Islands. Thanks to both of you. We enjoy these segments, extremely educational and informative. And folks, don't be shy about seeking medical attention. As we always say in this program, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So get in there early. If you're suffering, there's no need for you to suffer. There are good treatment options available to you. The first thing and the first step is always to see Dr. Sunil and any other expert to diagnose exactly what it is that you're suffering from. There might be something else that's going on, and they can certainly look at those things and get you in a good treatment program, and just, feeling better, because there's nothing like anything that's chronic, whether it's chronic back pain, knee pain, or GERD. You don't want to have to deal with it if there are options available. So thank you, Dr. Sunil, for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you, Rebecca. Really enjoyed the show. And have a nice day, both of you. Okay,
thank you so much. And Rebecca, thank you again for joining us today as well. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you for having us. And have a great day, everyone.
All righty. So that's another episode of Rundown Tuesday. So let's just have a word from Health City Cayman Islands. Of course, as you guys know, their location in Cayman Bay is under construction. It seems to be coming along. I pass it almost every single day, and it seems to be coming along quite well. The construction site is booming and quite busy.
For over 7 years, Health City Cayman Islands has provided life-changing and life-saving medical care for the people of the Cayman Islands at our hospital in East End. During this time, we have become an integral part of the community, and now focused on connectivity and collaboration. Our vision is to make an even greater impact on the quality of healthcare for the people of our islands. In summer 2022, we will open a 70,000 square foot state-of-the-art hospital built on 3 acres of land at the southern end of Camana Bay, bringing much-needed specialized medical services closer to where people live, work, and play. Camana Bay, located at the heart of 7 Mile Beach, is home to schools, businesses, shops, restaurants, and entertainment. And now, Health City Camana Bay, a $100 million world-class hospital. Health City Camana Bay will include an advanced cancer care unit, offering bone marrow transplantation and the latest cancer treatment technology. It will contain a modern neonatal intensive care unit, emergency and critical care, purpose-designed operating rooms for surgical specialties, such as cardiology, neurology, and orthopedics, and robotic operating systems. A master plan for improved health care for the people of the Cayman Islands. Ready to meet the needs of our patients here and now, we have already established a footprint in Camana Bay with the opening of our clinic. Offering short wait times, extended opening hours, including evenings and weekends, and the ability to see our world-class doctors closer to where our patients live and work. The clinic has bright, comfortable waiting areas and treatment rooms, friendly staff, expert care, lab services, and diagnostics. Reflecting our operating philosophy of patient-centered care, convenient access to our specialist doctors allows our patients to focus on getting better rather than getting to appointments. With our unwavering commitment to our community and the thousands of patients who trust us to care for them, we look forward to building healthier communities in a place where life unfolds, blossoms, and thrives. Welcome to Health City, Camana Bay.
It's November, and November is Gimme Story. The Cayman Islands National Cultural Foundation presents in your district Gimme Story, the Cayman Islands National Storytelling Festival. 6 evenings of free entertainment for the entire family from November the 25th to December the 2nd. Guests arrive at 7 p.m. and show starts at 7:30 p.m. Come on out, because nobody's going to be left behind. We got you covered. West Bay, East End, North Side, Bordentown, Georgetown, and even Cayman Brac. Everyone is going to enjoy a bit of Cayman's history via storytelling. This year, we have the best of Cayman's homegrown and resident storytellers that Anna know from Anna Born, including Rita Eskavanovich, Nasaria Sakushalet, Matt Brown, King Navasa, Giovanni Ebanks, and a host of others. For more information, visit artscayman.org or visit the Facebook page and Instagram page at Cayman Culture. Vote for the best fish fry in every district and wash it down with a little swanky. Did I mention that you get in for free? And they're starting in time, so try and hurry up. Give me a story. That's gonna be a good time this year, so don't miss out. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. What an absolute wonderful event. If you've not been to any of the segments of Give Me a Story yet, please check out the schedule. It's available online. Lots of folks have actually been going and they've been having an absolutely beautiful time and really, really enjoying themselves. So I'd encourage you to take in what is a very unique Caymanian experience, storytelling on location, and lots of fun, activities involved in that. So good morning, good morning, good morning. We're going to move into a little bit of open mic segment. Mark said, did she say summer 2022? Who's she in that commercial? Or which one? So just clarify for me. How many days until Christmas, says Jonathan? Less than a month, honey chow. So I can help myself with a little more GERD, with a little stewed turtle, conkin pie, ribs, sweet potato pie, or sweet potato, cassava, rice and beans, potato salad, bread pudding, and a little piece of cassava cake. Boy, I tell you, Jonathan sound like his belly definitely Caymanian, if nothing else is. Some good stuff there. But folks, everything in moderation. So I love food. And I will never lie about the fact that I absolutely love food. I'm a foodie. Like I should have been in another life a professional food taster or something. So some job that allows me to just go around eating food all the time. That would have been a perfect job for me. Why didn't I get signed up for that? Anyway, that would have been a great job. But let me tell y'all now. Let me tell you, honey chill. The good thing about it is you don't have to be a professional, connoisseur of food. You can just enjoy good food here, there, and a little bit. So on Thursday, it was American Thanksgiving. I think next year I need to spend Thanksgiving in the States. because it's not quite the same in Cayman. In the States, it's a vibe. It's a thing. It's totally different. It's exciting. It's like the start of the shopping season the day after. So I think I need to convince Marlon to take me back to a little bit of my childhood memories surrounding all that good home cooking from Aunt Lottie. And we should do Thanksgiving. Maybe his cousin, he's got family in the States. So he's got cousins in Florida. So maybe we do Thanksgiving with them. Kevin, you up and listening to the show yet? Kevin was enjoying his own Thanksgiving. He looks like he's a chef in his house. And he did a, oh, Kevin, I want you to come on and explain this to me. He actually did a fried turkey. Now, I got to tell you that, I'm kind of old fashioned and we do it the old fashioned way. You put the turkey in the oven, right? And you bake it. But these deep fried turkeys are a thing, apparently. Although the idea of deep frying a turkey, I don't know. I've never actually had a deep fried turkey. So that's on my bucket list to at least try it once and see what the difference is between that and a traditional, turkey. He posted a video of himself doing it. But I love Thanksgiving so much. I think next year I got to work around a holiday around Thanksgiving. So what I ended up doing is I went to Miss Elrita. That's the closest that we can come to genuine, hoedown, proper Thanksgiving lunch. And boy, I tell you what, that was delicious. Of course, we had a little Caribbean flavor, like we need rice and beans. In the States, you wouldn't really, unless you're Caribbean, you wouldn't really have rice and beans with a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. But, we put a little bit of that in. So I had me some turkey and I had a little bit of ham. And that was my Thanksgiving lunch. And it was really delicious. It was good. Normally in the States, what we do is this would be a routine growing up, right? So, of course, I get up in the morning. Aunt Lottie's still in the kitchen cooking because she's been cooking all night and she still continues. And she would be cooking and whatever. So I'd help set the dining room table, put out, all the stuff, help with a little bit of cleanup in the kitchen. She did the cooking. She didn't let anybody touch any cooking in her kitchen, honey Joe. She did it all herself, everything from scratch. Oh, the sweet potato pie was to die for. And then we would sit down. Of course, it's also a big football day. So, Americans like their football. So my cousin and my uncle, they would sit down and do nothing, as the men did in our household when it came to domesticated things. So they would literally just sit down and watch football. You watch the parade. Is the parade still on? The Macy's Day Thanksgiving parade, was that on this year? So you watch the Thanksgiving parade, then you have a little bit of football games. And then by then, it's later in the afternoon and your lunch / dinner is ready because you can only eat one meal for the day. Because believe me, when I tell you that you're going to consume all of your calories in one sitting. So there's absolutely, no reason to eat dinner. But you know what the best part of Thanksgiving is for me? It is actually the leftovers. Just let's go down memory lane a little bit here with me, right? The leftovers after Thanksgiving are always so much better. I don't know what it is about leftovers. It's like, the flavoring has just seeped in a little bit more. The turkey and the stuffing just go together even more. Like everything is just better the day after. And then my aunt, who did not believe in wasting anything, would put together these ham sandwiches. It was like post-Thanksgiving ham sandwiches. So like the day after, the first couple of days, she would make these amazing to die for ham sandwiches. And it was just like, to me, they were sometimes competing with Thanksgiving dinner. They were just amazing. Delicious. Kevin, I'm here reminiscing about Thanksgiving. What's up, my brother?
I was so glad that I did my diet the time I did my diet because I lost 40 pounds over the last 3 months and
yes.
I got to my goal weight right at the time Thanksgiving came about, and I absolutely indulged way more than I was supposed to.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. So you're home for a little bit this week. Welcome home. Always so good to have you in the 345.
Yes, it's good
I
to
see
be
you guys
home.
have put up Christmas trees already.
Yeah, my mom already started putting up the trees and stuff. I actually put mine up before I left. I put mine up over in Florida back, I think it was 2 or so days before Thanksgiving. Mom was there, dad was there, and mom and I did some work because dad has some restrictions, so he has to take it easy for a little bit after his surgery. But yeah, no, we are ready for Christmas because after a few sleeps, it's going to be here.
Oh yes, for sure. So Alyssa says, "Hi Kevin, greetings from Finland. Thank you so much." Soka's in the house, and Alyssa said, "Yes, the parade was on this year, so I wasn't sure what events are still on this year. So the parade, always an amazing time." Alisa. Yes, did I get it right that time?
Alicia, yeah.
Alisa. All right. So thank you so much for joining us all the way from Finland. Amazing. So
Yeah,
tell us about.
She used to live here. She went to Triple C with me. Linda
really?
is her mom. She was my Spanish teacher, and then Alicia went to school with me, my sister and I.
Okay, nice. So Kevin, you got to tell me about this deep fried Thanksgiving. This is a thing. Obviously, I'm trying to find your video to see if I can share it with people.
Yeah, so deep fried turkey. I was introduced to it when I first moved to Florida. So probably about 8 years or so ago, and pretty much once I've had it, I don't even like the regular old traditional way anymore.
Really?
It is because what happens when you drop that turkey inside that oil, it forms a seal around it. And all of the stuff that you put inside it to marinate it, because you use those, the injectors, and you juice up, inject the good marinade inside, like the wing, inside the leg, inside the breast area, and all the other parts of the turkey that you consume. And I usually do it a couple of days before you deep fry it. And so once you drop it into that hot oil, it just forms a seal around it. It cooks at 2 to 3 minutes per pound. The largest bird that you could do inside a deep fryer of the size that I have is about 12 pounds. So you're not looking at those large turkeys, but because the cook time is so much faster, you're able to do several of them and still have enough turkey if you have a large group of people. But yeah, you drop the bird inside it, it forms a seal around it, and then from there, all of the juices and all of the stuff is it just seasons the meat so well that when you eat it, it's so moist. It's never dry unless you really overcook it. And it's never dry, and it just has so much flavor in it.
And what's the secret to cooking it in this fryer?
So there's a lot of people that burn places down, their house down, if they don't do it right. It can never be frozen. So in fact, I don't even buy frozen birds. My turkey was never frozen. Usually I buy the fresh ones. But if you don't have that as an option, the best thing to do is make sure 100% there's no frozen parts inside it. Of course, you take out the neck, you take out all of the stuff that a lot of people don't typically eat that comes stuffed inside the turkey. Of course, you clean it real good and stuff, and so you slowly drop it in there. So I know you have the video.
I'm trying to pull it. See if I can pull it up here.
You pull it in, right? With that, you'll see me slowly lowering it and letting the oil settle as I slowly get it all the way down. My mom was like, "What do you have to hold it the whole entire time?" When she was watching me do it, I said, "No, it's just not all the way down yet. I'm not going to just drop it in, because what happens if you drop it too quickly, you'll cause that oil to overflow and potentially cause a large fire, because it will get on the burner below and it will not be a good scene."
Wow. So it's a whole thing. It's like a technique, really.
It is. I mean, I always, from the first time I had it, I was like, "Oh, I love this thing so much," and but I was always afraid to do it myself. So I actually learned how to do it last Thanksgiving. I had a friend of mine was doing it. So he had stopped having Thanksgiving parties for quite some time, and so once he started it up last year, he he gave me my invite to come on over, and I was like, I would love to learn. Can you teach me and stuff? So I went to his house early that morning because he was doing something like 30 birds because he was feeding a feast. And after Thanksgiving, he goes out and gives does Thanksgiving meals to homeless folks. So he does a lot of birds. Wow. And so I got to his house really before sunrise, before the roosters were crowing. And I was there, and he taught me how to do it. So I felt a lot more comfortable, and I went ahead and bought the stuff that I needed, the deep fryer and that sort of stuff for turkeys. Bass Pro Shop is where I bought mine from, but you could order it from other places. And so for Christmas, because we have turkey for Christmas as well.
Yeah.
Last Christmas was the first.
So this is an actual picture of your marinated one.
It is. So I did 2 turkeys. I did one that it was without anything on the outside, which is totally fine. I was showing some pictures to one of my friends, and she was like, "You didn't put nothing on that thing. You crazy? That's going to be disgusting." I'm like, trust me, you don't know. Nothing needs to go on it once you inject it. But I wanted to try another way as well. So I did one without anything on the outside, which was great. But I also did one a lot more seasoned, which is the one you see in that picture. And that one had a seasoning called Slap Your Mama on it, as well as a little bit of extra Cajun seasoning, and a honey. I forgot what it was, but it was something with honey, like honey brown sugar on it. So I mixed them all together, and I seasoned it all up on the outside. I still use the same injector marinade. There's a Cajun injector marinade that goes inside all of the wings, the legs, the breasts, and then so that one was a lot more seasoned. So I had given some to my next door neighbor to say, which one do you like better? They did actually like the one that was a little bit more seasoned better. The other one was still great. She was back and forth for the longest time trying to pick one, but she said if she had to be forced to pick one, the one that was a little bit more seasoned was the one that she went with.
Wow.
And of course, it was the first time I ever cooked Thanksgiving for my parents, because usually I'm the one that's catered to. Mom takes care of me, grandma here in Cayman takes care of me as well. And so I usually don't have to do any type of cooking and stuff for Thanksgiving, but this is the first time that Chef Kevin did 90% of it.
Nice. No, I saw you working extra overtime in the kitchen. So let me go ahead and show our online viewers kind of what it looks like in terms of your, I'm a bit skittish with the computer right now. I'm not going to jinx it, but it's been good today. But here's Kevin's turkey, deep fried turkey. Check this out, folks. Look at this. So he's so tell us the technique here, Kevin. I think you've got to unmute yourself.
Yeah, so you have to slowly lower the bird into the boiling oil, more or less. Just slowly lower it all the way down. Because if you do it too fast, you see the oil there, it's starting to bubble and fizzle. It will do it a whole lot more if you do it too quickly. So you have to also have that special mitten. You see that black mitten that I have on my hand as well? Yes. That one is specially made for some.
Sorry, every time I add the video, it mutes you. Sorry, just unmute yourself. I think
there we go.
Yeah.
Every time you play the video, it mutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was saying that mitten is a special type of mitten. It's not your traditional one that you would usually have in your kitchen. That one actually is like a leather-based one. That is a much higher grade where it could handle the heat a whole lot better. So again, even though this, if you probably look carefully, you'll see a lot of that very, very hot oil kind of bubbling up a little bit and splashing it. I'm not feeling any of that because very, very good.
That's a good thing.
Material that firefighters would wear in a fire.
Yes. So it looks like I'm just checking out the apparatus here. So it looks like is it connected to a little propane portable?
Yep, it's connected to a portable propane gas canister.
Tank,
tank, yep, and then it's on another burner. You see, some people have similar setups where the burner is just like that, without the little bracket that's around the pot. The ones for turkeys, the reason you want one that has the bracket around it is because your pot's going to jiggle a little bit, and you're supposed to have it on a very flat surface. The surface that I was using could have been a little flatter, to be honest, if I was to do it 100% safe way, but it was flat enough. I've done it there before, and I felt comfortable enough there, and I didn't have any issues. But you want to make sure that the area that you're cooking it on is a flat level of surface. You don't want to have turf that's kind of uneven, so you're not, because once you drop the bird in there, it's going to vibrate a bit, and which is why on that burner you see that black ring around it. That helps to keep it inside there a little bit better. If that wasn't there, you could potentially have that pot tipping over, and you really don't want that, because that's very hot oil that would be tipping over on fire right below, and that would significantly cause issues. So again, there's also what you can't see in the picture on it, a timer that's only good for about 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes I have to keep on turning it, or it's automatically going to shut off the fire.
And how long then does it stay in?
Okay, so it's 2 to 3 pounds. Sorry, 2 to 3 minutes per pound. So one of my birds was 26 minutes. One was going to be 28 minutes based on the weight of the bird. So when I'm seasoning it and stuff, I have to make sure that I keep them separated to know which one is which.
Yeah.
So I kind of write down on the tray that I have it in, and make sure that I know which one is going to be in for what amount of time. And
then
again,
did you use the same oil, or do you have to throw that oil out?
Same oil. In fact, that's the same oil that I used last year. You could use it. So after it cools and stuff, is from Sam's Club. You could get this large thing of peanut oil as well that you use. And so the oil can be used multiple times. They say until it turns dark. I'm only going to use it for 2 years. After I do my next deep fried turkey for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, after that, I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of that and get fresh oil, just because I'm just a little weird with it. But some people, they do it until the oil looks dirty. And so my oil still looks nice and clean, but just personally, and oil's not necessarily cheap either. I mean, for that size, of course, it can be a lot more expensive, but from Sam's, I think the big thing of oil that I get is, I want to say it's like $40 or so. So you're paying quite a bit for oil, so you don't want to just one and done it. You want to be able to stretch that out a little bit more to get better value for your investment.
Absolutely, nothing's cheap anymore. So of course, we've got people listening to the program. Someone has just sent in what they did for Thanksgiving. So check this out. I'm going to pull up their picture here. And then when Kevin was talking about things not being cheap anymore, I'm going to show you another photo here in a second. But this person did, let me just tell you their description. So that's brisket along with their smoked turkey. So they did theirs on the grill. So that's nice.
There's quite a few people that have done smoked turkey. But the same friend that taught me how to deep fry, he also has a smoker, and he smoked some of those turkeys. So not every one of them were deep fried for the amount that he was doing. He did some that was smoked. That too, it tastes good, but nothing like a deep fried turkey, in my opinion. The deep fried one is just so moist and so nice.
I want to try it. So I'm thinking next year around Thanksgiving, I might actually do a trip to the States. So put me on your invite list. And I saw you doing some other sides and stuff like that. So I'll contribute. Put me down for the mac and cheese. I'll do the bread rolls, and what else? Maybe 1 or 2 desserts. Yes, my famous custard top, but not custard top dessert. Speaking of.
I was telling my parents, because I'm actually thinking about sending down one of the things that you need, the pot and all that sort of stuff, to have one here as well. So if I'm ever here and it's one of those holiday seasons, actually you can do turkey at any time as well.
I know, right?
Have to be limited.
I'm all about that life. I'm about Thanksgiving food any time of the year, really.
Exactly. So, but I just wanted to have one of those burners and stuff down here. So should I be here, at least I have the option. Because again, I don't necessarily eat the old traditional stuff anymore. It's just once you've had it the way that
there's no going back.
It's just like I don't enjoy it no more. It's just not for me anymore.
Now, talk about the price of turkeys. Check this out. This is our friend Paul in Bermuda sent us this price. Bell & Evans, the excellent turkey, organic young turkey, $188.35. That's US dollars, by the way, for a turkey. $188, folks, and 34 cents. I could not believe my eyes. Did you see any crazy pricing quite like this, Kevin?
I did not. Like the turkey that I buy because it's not the frozen one is a little bit more, but for my the one, let me see. I could tell you exactly how much I paid for it actually, but it was certainly nowhere near that amount.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I didn't see any real price. I will say it was more expensive than last year, but it was not like, it didn't break the piggy bank because adjusted my own personal budget for the inflation that we have. Everything costs a lot more right now, but it's just it wasn't that crazy. Yeah, so one of my birds was 11.29 pounds, and I paid $30.37 for that one. So that was at $2.69 a pound. And then my other bird was at 10.76 pounds. Again, at that $2.69 a pound. So I paid $28.94 for that bird.
So it looks like the price on this turkey is $11 and maybe 38 cents a pound. So this is a pretty expensive. I'm sure because it's so-called organic as well. You always pay extra just because they're even using that name. Yeah. But yes, folks, pricing is a little bit more. Food inflation is hitting all of us across the board. So, Kev, it's so good to have you back home for a couple of days. Yes. You gonna hang out with me a little bit here in the show?
Yeah, I can hang out. What we're going to talk about next?
Well, I want to talk about. Well, let me have a mommy moment first, because while I was looking at some of my, Facebook has these memories, and they always remind you of where you were on a particular date. So a bunch of Gianna's pictures came up from when she was a baby back in 2016. She's born in August of 2016. So check this out. This was her first Halloween outfit, her little pumpkin outfit. So this would have been probably the end of October of 2016. This was a little mommy and daughter date that we had, where we actually went and had some fun times together. So we were flying solo that day. So the caption of that one said, let me just see if I can find the caption on that one. What did I say that? Oh, yes. I said, best lunch date ever. Just Gigi and I enjoying our afternoon together. We're actually having a great conversation. Then we've got some Christmas outfits. All right. So here we go. There's her first little Santa outfit, hanging out with Dad. This was another one of her just snoozing. Oh, so adorable. Oh my gosh, babies are the cutest little things. And this was us going to the Christmas tree lighting. So she went to her first Christmas tree lighting event at Cayman Bay. And there's the reindeer. And these were some other babies who were there that year. In fact, the little one in the middle, Max, he was in the NICU at the same time as Gianna. So we were all unintentionally, we just happened to have met up at this event. So that's Mark and his little baby boy there. And then there seems to have been mostly girls in the NICU. So Max was one of the few boys that was actually born and in the NICU at the time. I think we have an overpopulation of little girls for some reason. But yep, there's another one of my favorite Christmas outfits ever. It says, all mommy wants is a silent night. And trust me, a good night's sleep back in those days was definitely hard to come by. So thanks for indulging me there. Jonathan says that turkey looks awesome. Sounds like GERD galore.
And one of the things, when I first heard about deep fried turkeys, I thought, oh my goodness, that's going to be an oily thing. There's no oil on it. I mean, it just forms a seal, and when you take it out, there's absolutely no oil on it. So it is so not oily at all.
Nice. Evelyn says she'd love to try deep fried turkey. I say try it at least once. You can't go wrong.
Sandy, it looks like at some point in time, we're going to make a special trip. We're going to go to some beach somewhere, and we're going to have a little CMR get together. We're going to deep fry some turkey and other good old Cayman food.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Jonathan says them prices will soon come to Cayman. Yeah, Jonathan, it's impacting people all over. Lucille says, Sandy, you don't go try what Kevin is doing. You see that hot oil, how it's boiling because you look like you have two left hands. Oh my God. No, you did not just shade me like that. No, I can in the kitchen. I'm handy.
Yeah, Chef
Stephanie
Sandy does a good job.
Stephanie, good morning to you. But yes, I would definitely concede to Kevin doing it since he is the expert. Wanda says deep fried turkey is very popular in Canada on the East Coast, and it is delicious. Well, I'm all about it. I'm up for it, Kevin. So you let me know when you can get one of those fryers here and when we can actually try it. Does anybody in Cayman sell these fryers? I don't think I've ever seen one.
I've never seen one here. It's certainly something that I was introduced to over in Florida, and Georgia. I mean, the East Coast of Florida as well too. So, she just said East Coast of Canada. It seems to be like an East Coast
Maybe it's an East
type
Coast
of
thing. Yeah.
But absolutely no. I haven't seen one here. I'll definitely invest in one to send down here. I'll have to ship it because it's in a pretty good sized box. And definitely do something on one of these next visits. We'll let everyone know where we're going to be at, and we're going to get some. Well, I guess what would be the hardest thing is to ensure we have birds here around that time. We're going to need to make sure that we have turkeys, and ideally the fresh ones. Again, I've never ever tried a frozen one. I don't really have any plans on trying it because I just feel that that'd be a riskier of making sure that that's completely thawed. But maybe we have to talk to Foster's and see if we can get a special shipment in that day.
Definitely. Yep. Let's do it. And of course, add a low Cayman angle to it. Like you said, nothing like a little beach, kind of maybe mimic or our, when did we go camping? Easter camping. So we'll do it outside and stuff like that. Yes, absolutely. All right, good stuff. So Kevin, there is a event that's coming up this weekend. That's a huge event here in the Cayman Islands. And of course, I want to ensure that everyone comes out and has a safe and wonderful time. The air show is back. Do you remember the air show when you were growing up as a kid?
I really do. And I don't know if you knew or remember, but I used to be a big aviation enthusiast. I wanted to be a pilot when I was growing up. And I used to love the air shows. I did really miss it when it went away. Unfortunately, I'm leaving the day before the air show to go back up to Tampa. But no, I'm very excited to know that it's coming back, and it's going to be a good time for a lot of folks. The lineup looks pretty awesome.
Nice. So we've got a person listening to the program. They said, I've been deep frying turkeys for 15 plus years here. A.L. Thompson's and Koshila sells the fryers. After thawing the turkey for a few days, I inject it with sauces, seasoning, and marinade, and put it in the fridge for 2 days before frying. It is delicious.
It really is.
Okay.
Well, good to know that they actually have them here locally.
Yeah, I think that we, I don't know if we get non-frozen turkeys here. They probably have to freeze them for us to get them here. But that sounds like, oh, wow. And I'm wondering to that person why I didn't get an invite for Thanksgiving. All right, I see you. Lucille, thank you very much. She says the baby is very pretty and beautiful. We appreciate it. So yeah, I didn't know that you were into aviation like that, Kevin, but I think a lot of kids, you have these dreams, and one of the things for little boys in particular, and little girls too, I'm sure, is they want to be a pilot or they want to do things related to planes.
When I was at CCC, I had actually started an aviation club. John Gray had one, and then I started the one at CCC, and we actually went on field trips. We were overseas for about a week. Went to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University over in Daytona Beach, Florida. We went to Fantasy of Flight over in Polk County and Polk City. And so we did a couple other aviation museums on our trip. So pretty much throughout the year, we would do fundraisers to raise funds for the trip. So we didn't have to, bother our parents with the money. And then we did these trips. And we had a lot of boys and girls in our club. We would hang out at the airport on weekends, and so at the airport we had the nice little area where we could watch the planes come in and land before they took that away when it was redeveloped. We used to go out there and hang out and watch planes come in. It was good times. I used to love aviation. What actually had changed my mind was after 9/11. One of my closest friends' father was a pilot and on Cayman Airways, and he actually happened to be one of the foreign pilots. And at that time, they actually laid off all of the non-Caymanian pilots, and he was one of them that was cut. And he was letting me know at the time, listen, aviation is fun. Not telling you not to do it, just always have a backup plan. And so I didn't think much of it at that time because that the aviation industry took a big hit after 9/11. And I eventually kind of merged a little bit into law enforcement before going off to university. And then that's when I fell into communication and started to come back, worked at Radio Cayman, then I came on 27, and the rest is history.
Very good. All right. So yeah, folks, the air show is this weekend. They're starting with Cayman Brac. I mean, it's slated to be an absolutely fabulous time. So make sure that you get all your arrangements and everything in place to be ready for this event. We'll have some
I will
videos.
tell people, especially with pet owners, Sandy, that they need to also be aware that pets might not like all the extra air noise. So they might want to, keep watching their pets. So maybe bring them in just in case, because, it's nice to see, but it's like fireworks. It's a little unusual for them to hear these new things flying around in a lot more frequent times. So make sure they kind of keep an eye out on their pets.
All right, here's a little announcement as it relates to the Brac Air Show.
Cayman Brac, your ETA for the air show is Sunday, December 4th at 12:30 p.m. Prepare yourselves for an unforgettable experience.
After more than 20 years, the air show is back in the Brac. Enjoy an aircraft exhibition where you can see the planes and meet the aviators at the airport. Then watch a thrilling air display as world-class pilots put on a stunning show. Free parking will be available at the airport. For full details and event lineup, visit CaymanAirShow.com. The Cayman Islands Air Show, landing in Cayman Brac, Sunday, December 4th from 12:30 to 2 p.m.
Cayman Brac, your ETA for the air show is
So
Sunday, December 4th
again,
at 12:30
folks,
p.m.
that's
Prepare
coming up
yourselves
for
an
this Sunday. Kevin makes a good point. Even children, and listen, if they haven't seen over 20 years, Cayman Brac hasn't had an air show, which I think this is amazing that it's actually going to be happening this weekend for them. But again, Sunday, December 4th, if they haven't ever been to an air show, kind of try to prepare them a little bit for what to expect. It's going to be a great time. What's the best place you think to probably kind of view the show? I mean, obviously here on the beach, the Brac show.
Grand Cayman, 7 Mile Beach area. In the Brac, it looks like most of the events going to be taking place at the airport area.
Right.
So I was actually thinking, where is it going to really happen on the Brac? Because it's the landscape is a little different there. I know there are a few spots, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, to get a great show, because it's not like they have like a 7 Mile Beach on the Brac. And so not sure how it's going to fully work. It'll be interesting to see how they play it out, because I mean, the whole island cannot go just to the airport, other than maybe doing the tours and walking around on to watch the, like, I forget what they call it. So tour the aircrafts while they're the exhibition is what they call that. But in terms of the air show itself, I mean, it's not a large landscape like how we have 7 Mile Beach here on Grand Cayman.
All right. Well, it's sure to be a lot of fun, folks. So get the entire family ready and, make it a thing with the kids. And I've been to a couple air shows. There's what's the Air Force Base called in Florida again? The one downtown past like Hyde Park. Is it
MacDill Air Force Base?
Yeah. MacDill Air Force Base, Macfield. I've been in Cayman for a minute now.
A total random thing about MacDill, something that a lot of people might not know, but the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, every single operation from there actually originated from MacDill Air Force Base over there in Tampa. That was where the central command hub was. And so anything that was, planned, it was planned from a general or someone that was stationed there. A lot of the air missions began there and stuff. So yeah, it was definitely one of those very significant historic Air Force bases that was utilized in that war.
Wow. Very, very interesting. All right. So, folks, again, go out and participate. We're putting up some advisories on the website for those of you who are intending to go, including some traffic advisories. Obviously, there'll have to be some airspace that will be closed. If you have things like drones, this isn't the time to be out there trying to fly a drone while the planes are up in the sky. So be sensible.
Also for boating, there's some boating restrictions too. The Coast Guard commander, Commander of Scotland, sent out a notice for all mariners in that area. There's an area you're not supposed to be in during the air show as well too. So anyone that's planning to go out at sea in their vessels, there's some areas that they need to be aware about to stay away from for multiple reasons: security, safety. So.
Very good. And we've got special greetings this morning, special birthday greetings in the house. Whose birthday is it? None other than Lavana, Cayman Airways customer service agent, reservationist. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy birthday, young lady. Let me see if I can find my little birthday song. It is her birthday today, and she's feeling good. So wish her a happy birthday. I think she might have the day off, but I'm not even 100% sure. But make sure that you wish her happy birthday should you see her today. So that's her beautiful, beautiful Caymanian girl, honey child. Happy birthday. All right. Nice. So we'll post her up on our social media pages as well. Wishing her, again, an absolutely gorgeous and beautiful birthday today. So, Kevin, we also have an update. We were talking about, I think it was on Friday of last week, maybe, about these marriages of convenience. We're actually going to put a story up on the website. But listen, CBC, Works, the Cayman Islands government, they have a concern about the increase. They say there've definitely been an increase in these. And so they're actually putting some things in place to address these marriages of convenience. So we'll put up the story, but essentially they're asking for marriage officers to start filling out a form and looking at certain things and asking certain questions of the parties that are getting married in hopes that they can try to curtail it. Now, they can't ask every question under the sun, so there might still be some that are slipping through the cracks. But Kevin, when you hear about these marriages of convenience, do you have any thoughts on that particular topic?
I certainly know it's something that happens a whole lot here. That's for sure. I've known people actually that have been involved in such setups, and it's certainly a problem that needs to be addressed. But again, I know Kenneth was trying to come on another time to talk, share some of his views, and it is difficult, but it's not impossible to try to weed some out. We're never going to be perfect. We're not asking for perfection, but we definitely need some stricter guidances and policies in place in order to discourage it, and also some hefty fines to go along for those who partake in it, because it does damage the future of the Cayman Islands. When you have these type of setups.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I know we had a very sometimes lighthearted discussion when we talked about it, but it's a very serious matter. And at the end of the day, it's a type of thing that has some serious implications, social implications, economic and financial implications, even crime-wise for things that are going on in this country. Because my take on it is this: if someone has to circumvent the existing rules and regulations and laws that are in place, there's normally a reason why they feel it's necessary to do that, because there are ways that you can contribute to this community and you can be here as a lawful individual, lawfully enter, working lawfully and all these other things. So if you find that someone has to pay you to stay in this country, you as the Caymanian who's being approached for such a deal should really question yourself as to why that's even the case. And I know for some individuals, they're just looking at the money that they might be getting, and they're not focusing on anything else. It even leads to, for the people who are participating in it, it leads to some human rights violations potentially as well, except it's the individual who's violating your rights, not the government. So someone was telling me last week after that show that there was a guy here, a Jamaican fellow, who entered into an arrangement with a Caymanian woman where he was paying her $500 a week for this arranged situation. And, you know, if he was late paying it, she was getting upset. She wanted her money. And she was kind of like strong arming him into paying her and threatening him and all sorts of stuff. And after a while, he realized that it was just too much stress. He'd be better off just finding a legitimate situation where he could just get a work permit and deal with that instead of the stress of this woman and her boyfriend constantly showing up on his door, demanding payments and asking, where's their money?
Well, my dad and I, ironically, was just talking yesterday about someone that we know that was, you know, is involved in something like that, a marriage of convenience, had a baby with the lady. Lady left him. He is now ill and can't take care of himself. And the moment he started to really maybe need a little bit of assistance, has no one. So
wow,
I guess, yeah.
That's not good at all.
Came back, unfortunately, in a not so good way for him.
Yeah.
And it's quite sad. And there's so many different versions, different stories that can be told about these type of setups. But ultimately, just do it the right way.
Yep. And it's especially sad when children are then injected into the situation, you know, when they're born out of these arrangements and so on. You know, it's just, it's less likely that the parties are going to stick around, even though there are children involved, which is incredibly sad. Really, really sad. All right. So after yesterday's program, you guys know that we called this gentleman, Mr. Hugo. What's Hugo's last name again? Hugo. I'm trying to remember Mr. Hugo's last name here. Brown. Yes, he is a school teacher apparently at John Gray, is what I've been told. And he did call during the program and claim that he's going to hire a lawyer to, I don't know, give me a courtesy phone call. I'm not sure exactly what the lawyer would be doing. But anyway, you know, he sold a lemon literally to a lady who within 24 hours, the first time she was driving the vehicle, after putting down an initial deposit of $2,000, she still was supposed to pay more. Imagine how pissed off she would have really been then. But the vehicle just stopped working. And for the last 5 months, she's been getting around the runaround for Mr. Hugo about this. Now, one of the astute listeners. Oh, sorry. It looks like I've removed myself. There we go. You guys are really on top of it, folks. One of you asked the question, and I hadn't even thought of this, right? You said, well, who owns the vehicle? And I thought, well, surely it's Mr. Hugo, isn't it? But as it turns out, it isn't. I was like, whoa. So check this out. Apparently the owner of the vehicle, said vehicle, is somebody named Vincent Orlando Hall. So I have no clue who Vincent Orlando Hall is. But what I will say is that apparently this is who the vehicle is registered to. So it's no wonder that he's asking her for the original registration paperwork, because I feel like there's a bit more going on here than actually meets the eye. So I don't know what the full story is, folks, but what I can tell you is that apparently, Mr. Brown, Hugo Brown, does not even own this vehicle. So there's some kind of bangarang or bamboozling or something that's going on here. But Mr. Vincent Orlando Hall, if you are on this island still, perhaps you could give us a call and explain what the situation is. Now, part of what I've been able to ascertain, I think this might be a little bit of what's going on here. Apparently, Mr. Hugo, and these are, you know, I'm putting my 2 and 2 together and getting 4. He seems to be running some sort of a business where he is selling and buying cars and reselling them. So perhaps he obtained the permission or whatever from Vincent Hall to sell the vehicle, and then he takes a cut out of it because he's running a side hustle. He's running a side business. Now, the most interesting part about this is I have to question whether or not he has permission as a civil servant, hear me out now, to run said business. And maybe that is really where his concerns lie, when we start to ask questions is he doesn't want his employer, aka the Cayman Islands government, to know that he is out there running a side hustle, because that's not entirely legal within the remits of your work permit. Although it's a contract, government doesn't have to take out work permits, but you guys know what I mean. He has a contract with government, and he's not supposed to be here running a side hustle without their knowledge and explicit permission. So it appears that that is what is going on. So at one point, he was having a conversation with her, and he said something about, my plans are sidetracked now, have 6 cars to sell, plus this curveball with Jamaica. I don't know exactly what the curveball was, but, he said that there is going to be, it's not a stop of the project, it's just a slight delay. So he's got, it appears to me, a number of side hustles going on that, again, probably haven't been authorized by the proper officials. Someone said there are 3 Vincent Halls on Facebook, and so I don't know which one it is. One I have 15 mutual friends with. I bet you that might be him. Let's see who the other 2 are. And we have another one, 7 mutual friends. Oh, maybe it's the same person creating multiple accounts. Sometimes people do that, like they can't get into an account. And then 5 mutual friends. All right, let's have a look at Mr. Vincent Hall here. This one, he's wearing a suit. Let's see if we can put on our detective skills to see which one is which. Let me see here now if we can identify if he is the same person. Mr. Vincent. He kind of looks like he might be a school teacher. He seems to be around kids a lot. So he very well could be some sort of a coach or school teacher. It says Vincent G. Hall. And on the registration paperwork, let me just look at it again. It is Vincent Orlando Hall. So I think maybe we can eliminate this one, Vincent G. Hall. Doesn't seem like he's the one. Although he's in Cayman too. I see Cayman license plate number on a vehicle here. Yep, in front of government building with some cadets. And that looks like some young children there. Let me see now. Anyway, Mr. Vincent Hall, perhaps you can assist with a resolution of this matter to see what's really going on here. So this Vincent is from Jamaica, went to Harrison Memorial High, it says here, which is a 7-day Adventist school, according to this. Born in 1958. Oh, okay, we have a birth date. So let me just look at the document now to see. Does your DMV information give any birth date information? I don't think so. And then there's this other Vincent Hall who, let me see now. This Vincent Hall, 1977. He's a bit younger. Okay. Still snooping. And he's a bit younger. So I don't know which Vincent Hall it could be. They seem like they're all actually different people based on at least two of the accounts are different. Interesting. All right. Well, we'll keep looking into it, folks. And if you have anything that might assist, this woman really just wants her money back. She says that her husband is sick. He suffers from bipolarism. She needs to get back to the Philippines, and she'd really like to have her money back before leaving. So, Mr. Brown, we're asking you to simply just do the right thing. It can't be that difficult, I suspect, to do the right thing, but for some people, it does appear to be challenging. So we'll keep pressing, Mr. Hugo, to get that sorted out. Let's see your thoughts. Stacy says, scammer teacher. Sandra says, yep, about time. This will all end up they will all end up at NAU burdening the government. This is in relation to the marriages of convenience. It is, Lucille says, it is too, can late now say no more. It is too, I think I'm missing something there. Damien says, what about PR? These marriages also combine points of property ownership. They separated, divorce, and the coup years later. Well, they don't have to go through the traditional PR. That's the whole point of a marriage of convenience, is they don't have to go through the regular PR application steps at all. It's conferred almost by right because you're married to Caymanian. So that's why for many, it is a very lucrative position, because right away you're able to work without a work permit, and you're on your way to getting status, in a number of years. Jonathan says, expected phone call from Mr. Hugo any minute now. What a hot mess is right, C.E. Banks. Marshall says, will the real Vincent Hall please stand up? We would love to hear from you, Senor Vincent, to see what's the real deal with this vehicle. So, yes. What a bangerang, I tell you. I kind of think that maybe it's this one. I'm gonna look into this a little bit more. But two of them definitely look like they are related to schools. So maybe. So yes, Vincent Hall, if you hear us looking for you, we're just trying to get to the bottom of this. It appears that the vehicle is actually registered in your name. It's not even a vehicle that's in Mr. Hugo's name. So who has given him authorization to sign the vehicle? Only God knows. But something, doesn't quite add up. So someone says Cayman doesn't have a lemon law. Also for used cars, unless it says otherwise, it's caveat emptor, which means buyer beware. But here's the thing. There is a caveat to the caveat emptor. If the person says to you that it is in good running condition, and they actually make those assertions to you, you should be able to rely on that. So it's not a situation where the person didn't say anything to you and they were silent, and then it was just your responsibility, as the legal ego there says, to buyer beware. If they say to you, the car is running, you're not buying this car for parts, you're buying it to be able to get around, and they tell you that it's working fine, they've just serviced it, they will only work on the air conditioning, then that is a very different situation. And that is tantamount to a fraud, to be quite frank and honest. So
is that one of the things or services Restore offers? I'm not quite sure.
Sorry, say that again.
Is that one of the services that Restore can help with for lemon type vehicles? Or is that
no, Recover? No. So they're more like if you're in an accident,
more
and you've got
personal
insurance
injury
claims,
that they don't take on some of the other nuances. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So this woman has a 2 and a 10-year-old, and she's really asking Mr. Hugo to try to do the right thing by her. So it looks like at some point, this man, Vincent Orlando Hall, by the way, he lives in Bodden Town. So if anybody knows which of the Vincents he is, no phone numbers on the logbook, but we do have an address at some point off of Nathan Marin Drive. He signed it and gave the documentation, I guess, to Mr. Hugo. Now, the interesting thing about this is a bit interesting. It does say that the plates, it says suspended on August the 21st, 2020. Both plates with owner. So it seems like this Volkswagen is called a New Beetle, was taking off of the roads in August of 2020. You see, these are things that, again, you do have to be very, very careful, and you've got to read the fine print, folks. My question would have been, Why was it suspended in August of 2020? What was going on then? So lots of questions. It was actually registered in Breakers as well. They went to that location to do this this registration. So, Mr. Hugo, step up, be a man. You know, you're setting a really poor example for the students who are largely Caymanian. I'm sure they've seen this, and they're wondering, you know, how this is going down and what's really happening here. So, yeah. But I mean, they do have a duplicate certificate of registration that was obtained. And it says next inspection, March of 2021. License expires April 2020. The entire thing just gets more and more, convoluted, if you will. Well, what did Jonathan say? The dog threw up? What dog?
It was my mom's dog came, but she not feeling well, the little doggy. So yeah.
Jonathan,
So
Jonathan, you up in the man business like that, checking out what's going on with the dog? I totally missed it. So Miss Lucy says, Sandy, the marriage, it's too late now. They have the young boys in West Bay because it is all them definitely deaf and blind. One's love there. I had one of the blind one, but he is suffering for it now. He sold, not losing to me. I'm not quite sure I get all that, Miss Lucille, but normally these situations are arranged situations where both parties are very much aware that there's no love between them. There might be a difference between someone using you versus a marriage of convenience, which is where both parties have set up a mutually beneficial situation. On the one hand, someone is getting compensated normally with money, and the other person is just getting compensated by way of being able to reside in the Cayman Islands, work without having to worry about a work permit. And eventually, you know, if they're here long enough under that condition, they will acquire a residency, which they pretty much get right away. And then eventually status and BOTC and everything as well. So it's something that we've got to be very, very cognizant of. And I can't blame the authorities, quite frankly, for wanting to crack down on this. Now, I saw a comment from a Mr. Vanderbilt in the section here, and I don't know why people are still commenting on this kind of thing. His comment was, oh, you know, oh, this is like tabloid. Why do we have to know that this man owes people money? I want to try to make it as clear as possible. I've said this before, but I suppose it's worth repeating. If you see something on CMR or for any matter, any news platform that you do not like, continue to scroll. There's no need for you to even comment. Quite frankly, very few people care, if the truth be known, right? If you don't like it, you know, I see things every single day that I don't care for in the world of news, whether it's tabloid news, celebrity news, weather news, regular news, sus, mix up, bang, whatever. You have that ability on the mouse. Let me show you all something here. See that little mouse button right there? You just keep scrolling, just pull it down and keep scrolling. Scroll past what you think offends your senses, your sensibilities, and just ignore it. It's an art form, folks. Don't take on something. Your comment is neither here nor there. The bottom line is, regardless of what you think about these situations, we have had amazing success getting people to do the right thing, including paying money back when they know that they've owed it under such circumstances. So maybe you don't care because nobody owes you money and whatever, and you don't require those services because the person's like, oh, this is like a debt collection service. Listen, people are hurting financially, tough times right now. And it is quite unfortunate that people are still out there taking advantage of poor people. You know, she scraped her little money together to get the funds for a vehicle. And then this happens to her. And the bottom line is he has promised to pay the money back. I think a lot of people are missing that point. Even when they talk about, well, it's a lemon, what can she do? Blah, blah, blah. He admitted that he should have not sold her this vehicle under the circumstances. And he was happy to give her money back. The only problem is he seems to be taking his sweet time. And he's claiming that, oh, whenever he sells the vehicle, is when he'll get around to refunding her money. Where did the money go? That's the real question. Who has the money? Does Mr. Vincent have the money? Because maybe the initial money he gave to him, and then his cut was going to come out of the balance of $1,800 or whatever that was owed on the vehicle. I don't know, but you were brokering the deal, so ultimately you gave your word that you would be returning it, and so therefore, Mr. Hugo, you're the one who's on the hook, because nobody seems to even know who Mr. Vincent is. So there you go. And when you get into these side hustles, you've got to make sure that you understand the legal obligations of this sort of thing as well. And quite frankly, I think this woman needs to consider taking you to court if you're going to refuse to pay. Pretty easy to do. Kevin, any thoughts on that one?
One of the things I was just thinking of is,
you need to get one of these vertical mouse. Is that what you were really thinking?
Yeah. I was thinking on the comment that you made. People are saying that you could say keep on scrolling, but it's funny that some people that said, "Oh, I've never watched CMR, this, that, and the other," at the same time, those same people had said, "Hey, Kevin, tell Sandy this," or "Did you know about this? Can you put that on CMR?" It's like, I thought you don't watch CMR.
Oh my goodness, I tell you. So let me just see. This person says there will be a few different road closures on Sunday. First for the marathon in town, and then the air show, West Bay and Kaboo. People could be aware and avoid these areas. So yes, that's a brilliant idea. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy. How you doing?
Not bad, dear. How are you?
Now, I have a bone to pick with both of y'all that's talking about turkey this morning, and he's talking about slow cooking turkey and this and that. I need him to get up off his computer, go down by Foster's or Consulas, pick up a turkey and cook it and start talking about it and bring it to the show. What about that? Sandy, number one, like you said, if someone do not like the show, change the channel.
Yeah.
Right? And the thing of it is that it does not, what a lot of people, we here on this island is more reactive than proactive. If you're getting it out and making it buyer beware of someone, you're advising the public of what's really going on. I have every respect for Mr. Vanderbilt, but what happened if the same person went to his store to go get it stuff done and did not pay for his services? He's already aware of this type of person who's going to get before they get to him. So, tit for tat and butter for fish. Number two, on the marriage convenience, my suggestion is I'm not too sure if you're aware of this, and I think you would because you're married. But when you got married, you had to be registered and you had to have your picture and all that stuff displayed, right?
We didn't get married in Cayman, but yes, there is something called.
So when
there is something called the posting of the bands. I don't know that it includes a photo, but there is a process.
So I don't think it's a process. What they should do, and this just me thinking out loud, because me, Jonathan, and founder, so we think weird. Have it displayed like how they do it on work permits and everything else. It has to be displayed during either newspaper clipping, blah blah blah. This person's getting married, da 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 da.
Well, they better put it on social media. Nobody not reading newspapers anymore.
Right. Well, yeah. You know what I'm talking. I didn't want to put it like that, Sandy. Jesus, Lord, give me a break.
This show is called the Cold Hard Truth Caller.
Yes, Cold Hard Truth. That's right, Kevin.
Okay. Second of all, thanks, Kevin. I'm still waiting for the turkey. The second of all, they should have it displayed, like I said, like the work permits, and then they should be able to, similar to the English test, just like when you're getting a U.S. green card or whatever, you get married in the U.S., they normally ask you a few questions. How do you know the person? Do you know how, this couple of questions, how you know the person, the background, the family background, what's his favorite color, this and that. And they don't know what the test is going to be all about. It's a random test out of 100 from 1,000, say 1,000 questions, but you can only get 100. It is randomly. So it's not like the English test where they could come, you could come sweet talk somebody from wherever, and then they give you the computer automatically generates it. Okay. So, and then if you fail it, then you have another, I guess, 30 days to do another test. And if you fail that, then no, sorry. Right.
Yeah, I don't think there should be any chances, really.
Right,
Because if
but
you're in a
you
bona fide
okay? But if
relationship,
you're supposed to know your partner. So there you go. So have them to do a test, and then second of all, if they find out that you defraud, doing this marriage by convenience, there should be a fine at least $10,000 and above.
and some
Not
jail
no
time.
500.
Let's
No,
be honest
10,000.
here. If we
Yeah,
start putting
well,
people in jail, they might think twice.
yeah, but then if you put them in jail, then we still end up paying for it.
Well, I
So
mean, just a little lesson. They don't have to stay there for years.
then they come out, you put them in jail, and then they come out with a better education and know how to rig the system better. So, but yeah, $10,000 fine or greater, and then a photo shame, and then as soon as they come out of prison, they get repatriated. Done. It's just a simple fact of that, and so be it. I mean, I don't know what people don't understand. If I'm going to get married to convenience, trust me, you're going to be paying my mortgage, so it's not going to be convenient for you. You're going to be my mortgage. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll sit at home, and my mortgage is $22.50 per month plus light and water bill. You're going to be paying that. And I want to say how convenient. No, I am not coming cheap. My mother didn't make me cheap. All right, but yeah, so that's just one of the things, Sunday. And you have a wonderful morning, and I'm still waiting for that turkey, Kevin.
Yes.
All right.
I hear you. We're gonna do it.
All right. So Kevin, sounds like you're gonna have to hook that up sooner rather than later. We do have another scammer alert here. I'm actually trying to find this guy's picture. Listen, we do our best, folks, to really reach out to people. This is another vehicle-related scam, so y'all got to hear this one. This one takes the cake. But we really do our best to try to get people to do the right thing before we get to the point where we have to publicly expose them. Nobody, we get it. It's embarrassing for people to know that you're a scammer, even if you are a scammer. We talked about yesterday about the guy who ran off to Jamaica after Sherian epically exposed him for his latest scam. He finally left the jurisdiction. The dude left the rental car at the airport, didn't tell the rental company, left them on the high with the bill. But the worst part is the airport has actually clamped. This is what somebody was telling me last night. The airport has clamped the wheel, the tires, whatever they clamp, of this vehicle so that, because I guess it was parked there, illegally and whatever. So now they've clamped it because all this time it's been MIA. The owner, the rental company, had no clue where it was. So people are like, don't you listen to CMR? Do you not watch CMR to know that this guy was scamming people? And apparently he missed the story. So he missed it entirely. Now he has this huge fee that is owed at the airport. I guess it's CIAA that he has to pay it to. I'm not even 100% sure. But he's in quite a predicament. So now what's this poor guy going to do?
It'll be interesting to know if the rental car was in his name because, they have a credit card on file. And so if it is on file, whoever put that credit card on file, whether it's him or he got someone else to do it for him, they might be facing a hefty charge on that credit card.
Oh, gosh, you're right. Oh, my goodness. I hope it's not the uncle because the poor uncle, is a diabetic and not in the best of health. And he has been hoodwinked by this guy substantially. And even the uncle's passport has gone MIA. And someone said that the passport was actually in the vehicle. Oh my gosh. It's just sad that people are resorting to all this kind of stuff. Someone says, good morning. I think he is stalling. Once she left the island, realistically, who is going to make him pay? Oh, he might want to think twice about it. Okay, let's give this person a call. We're not going to give any names this morning because it seems like once they know that we're calling them, they're not going to answer the phone. We're going to have to start dialing from some duppy numbers, Kevin.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Some burner numbers, as they call it. Oops.
Here in the States, we actually got there's a lot of systems that you could use where you could change and call from any number you want. That's why you get all those robocalls.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, good morning, Agriculture.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Joshua McLean.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Sandra Hill here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Any idea why I'm calling you this morning?
Sorry?
Do you have any idea why I'm calling you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try to refresh your memory about a little situation. Do you know a gentleman that you sold a truck to that has been waiting for you for years to pay him back for that truck?
In regards to what situation are you talking about, ma'am?
The truck that you sold to him. That it turns out you actually didn't have the legal right to sell it because somebody else had a lien on it? To Mr. Ritchie?
Trying to remember.
Remember you can't
Mr.
remember.
Ritchie.
You sold a truck to Mr. Ritchie for was it $11,000? It's a nice Chevy looking truck. You can't remember selling a truck to somebody? How many trucks?
But I understand where are you calling me?
Oh, so you do remember the situation. You just are curious as to why I'm calling you. Well, I'm calling you because Mr. Ritchie has exhausted all efforts to get you to pay the near $20,000 back to him.
But okay, I'm actually at work, so I don't know why you're calling me. And in regards to this, doesn't concern you because Mr. Ritchie never told you anything about the whole story.
Yeah, Mr. Ritchie
So what you
not
can
only
do
told us
is
about it,
this
but he
is
provided all the evidence
yes,
as well.
provided. Okay, so this is a government phone. So
Oh,
what you
is
can
it?
do is yes, ma'am.
Right. So you've got another personal phone that we can reach you on?
I wouldn't give you my number in the first place.
Okay.
So if I was you,
Well, this is the number that Ritchie has for you. Ritchie has provided all of the documentation. What I'm going to suggest, because we did message you last week, we reached out to your local MP, who we understand you went and purchased another vehicle from, so you had money to get your bank loan from that. All I'm saying to you, Joshua, before we have to resort to putting you on social media, I would suggest you reach out to Ritchie and try to resolve this matter. You know what I'm saying?
well, Mr. Richard, he actually just spoke to me and he hung up the phone on me when I was speaking to him. So,
well, he says that actually what he said this morning. He says, "Good morning. I hope that all is well. I just called Josh's phone using a different number, and he finally answered me because you have not been answering him. I asked him how much of my money he can give me today, and he said he will look and then give me attitude. So I hung up on him. So you're right. He hung up on you because your attitude. Can you please?
I wasn't giving the opportunity. See, this is the whole point. He goes on and tells people things. I actually just told him, I said, I'm going to check. He said, okay, call me back in an hour. I don't give a damn. Hang up the phone in my face. That's what I said. That's what you should know the truth.
This has been going on for several years now, though. At this point, I mean, I don't really care who's hanging up on who. You would have to understand that years later that Mr. Ritchie must be frustrated from 2020. You had a payment agreement with him in 2020 from a vehicle that was purchased in February of 2019. 19, 20, 21, 22. This is like 3 years going into almost 4 years. Joshua, come on, man. You have to understand how.
But did he explain the situation? That's why I say you don't even know the full story. So that's why you should even be calling.
Going into 4 years,
this is something that made him sat down.
Does it matter? Does it matter? If you owe the money, you just need to pay it. The same way you could go to the bank and get a bank loan, right? Hear me out now. To buy a truck from MPJE banks, you could have borrowed money from people and paid off this man. That's all I'm saying to you. Like, you got to find a way to make things right. I mean, I don't care. Everybody's got situations. Everybody's got sick people. Everybody has lost jobs. Everybody, this guy has been more than patient, I would say, going into 4 years. Can we trust you to do the right thing without having to be posted on social media today? Can I leave it with you to try to do the right thing?
Yeah, you can leave it with me. I'm trying to, but he wants it in an hour. That's no way possible for anybody to do that.
I mean, he's been wanting it for the past almost 4 years.
So and I understand that. Yeah. You can't do anything in 1 hour.
All right. I'll tell you what. I'm going to be really kind to you because you're a young Caymanian, and I hope that you're really trying to be a good person. I'm going to give you the benefit of another week to do some sort of movement on this. Yeah? That sounds fair to you?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right, my dear. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Okay, dear. Bye-bye. I don't know, boy. I mean,
well, there's a government phone. You don't want to give a private number. It's like, well, you
that's
gave
the only
the
number
person
that
the
this man
government
has,
phone.
and he's been calling him,
So,
and he's ghosting him and not answering the phone. So, you know, come on now. Everybody has, listen, everyone has a limit to what they're willing to put up with. That kind of money is a lot of money. He paid $11,000 for the car, ended up spending another, I think, $8,000 or $9,000 on the vehicle to only have a company turn around and say, oh, that truck actually belongs to us because he put it up as a collateral to borrow a loan, never paid the loan back. And so we're going to take the truck. And they sure enough took the truck. So this guy is out of truck and out of money. And going into 4 years, you've not given him anything on this? Now, you know that that's just not acceptable. So, you know, I'm going to give Josh another week. Like we said, we had messaged him. And we try to give people an opportunity. Somebody says, oh, he's a sweet guy. Sweet people can still make really poor decisions when it comes to their finances and their money. It doesn't mean anything. He could be sweet, taking you out on a date, but still not paying his bills. So, you know, it's an unfortunate situation, but we want to give him an opportunity to sort himself out, to get it right. If you feel sorry for him, give him a donation towards the money that he's owed. That's sweet. Kevin? I mean, listen, we all get into, you know, we've been there. We've all had financial issues here, there, and everywhere. But you have to know that when you agree to something, you enter into these purchase agreements or to pay people back or whatever, you got to stand by it. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mrs. Dick Trace.
Good morning, Madam Sherlock. What's Sherlock Holmes' sister's name again? There's actually a movie coming out about her. Do you remember her name, Kevin?
I actually didn't know I didn't even know he had
Oh
a
my
sister.
God,
To be
she
honest.
did one already. Hold on, let me tell you what your real name is. Enola Holmes, I think is her name. Enola.
Yeah, Enola.
Yes, Enola Holmes. She's had one movie, and I think part 2 is coming out this year. So she's pretty good. Good, madam. Good morning, Madam Enola Holmes.
Good morning to you. What I want you to work on, though, this school teacher situation. I can't believe any of that woman's story, and that's not to call her a liar. But our school teachers aren't better vetted than that for our primary ages. I mean, it's not like you go into high school and, as the Catholics would say, give me a child until it's 5 and I'll have it forever. So that tells you there's something there in the psychology that you impart to a young child. So that's why I want you and the government to work on the school teacher situation. If that is true, if it is true, it's not a pretty picture for our children to be up close and personal, I think, with people who would display that kind of behavior. And if it is true and you give the behavior to an adult, I'm sure you'll get that time. That's just me. But anyway, I need to get that school teacher situation and that poor woman who needs to go into her sick family. Anyway, have a nice day. I love to Soka. Listening.
All right. Thank you, my dear. Really, really appreciate it. Jonathan says, Sandy with the threats of social media. You got a week. You hear me? Oh my goodness. Miss Lucille says, Sandy, you have to be the marriage officer soon so you can put it on Mall Road first. Well, listen, I know that apparently this government is contemplating and they're looking at revising the actual marriage law, the Marriage Act. And so I hope that they increase the penalties for these marriages of convenience. And you know what? Most people, when there's an agreement, a marriage of convenience, there are people in the community who know about it. Y'all know what's going on. Your sisters know, your uncles know, people know. And so they need to find a way to encourage people to be part of the solution and not the problem, to come forward and assist the authorities in really knowing who these marriages are. And, you know, they have publication of the bans is an actual requirement in the current Marriage Act, right? And I see nothing wrong with the publication being put in a more public place, because right now it's put like at the location of where the parties are getting married. But if you're not going to the wedding chapel as a guest or to get married, how many of you know who is on that list? Put it on social media, put it on a website. It should be something that is publicly available.
So, Sandy,
I'm just saying.
I'm not sure if Cayman ready for this discussion yet, but I have some thoughts on a little bit of a different side, because it's very, very common. I know not just in the States, but I know it's also here. But there are some people who are into open marriages or swingers.
Oh, it's happening here, but they hide in the church. So
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely happening here. I know it definitely is. But what about those situations? Because again, if they're in an open marriage or if they're a swinger and they're allowed to swap around partners, is it really a marriage of convenience in that situation, in those cases and stuff?
Well, you know what, Kevin? I think that even people who are into those less than traditional relationships, normally they still are with that person. So they might be dabbling on the side and, having their swinging from the chandeliers and whatever else they're into. But you still know that, okay, this is my spouse. This is my primary relationship. Even if I'm sharing him or her with other people, that alone doesn't necessarily mean that it's a marriage of convenience. I think a marriage of convenience takes a very different turn. Like, those people are still sharing their lives. They're still married to each other. They still have families. They're very much in a real relationship in that sense. It's just that sexually, they're very, very adventurous and they're trying other things on their plate other than the same meal every single day. So I don't think that necessarily indicates that it's a marriage of convenience, but it's some of these people don't even live in the same household. Like, they're not even connected in that way. They're just living their best and separate lives, and they're out there having relationships with other people. Like, they have a boyfriend that they're living with and they're in a relationship with. That's different than just being a swinger. So I think that there is a demarcation line there. But we know that we know all that's happening, child. Like I said, they be hanging out in church trying to find new swinging partners. Yasmin says, "Oh my God, girl, you were God sent. And I love what you're doing. People are finally getting some help. You are number one." Thank you, Jasmine. Mark says facts. And he says, bro, K-Man had that long time.
Sure did.
Alejandro says, oh, you talk about these things, nothing new. Definitely not. Jess says, put it at the post offices in every district. But again, Jess, who goes to the post office? Do you? I haven't been to the post office in probably over a year or more. I don't go to the post office. Poor Marlon, that's his job. He gets to check it and bring the mail home. But, locations like that, people don't go. Create an app or something where everybody can have it on their phone. And then when you see the 85-year-old man in Northside marrying a 22-year-old lady from Saiba, you might be like, Papi's that little seaman is about to have all his seaman's pension taken from him. So I think it just needs to be more public. Al says, talking about scammers, my so-called Caymanian friends use the friend card to borrow money and I can't get it back. Oh, geez, peace. Al, message me. We can help you. He said his so-called Caymanian friends. Well, they're Caymanians. You meant to say your so-called friends. Jonathan is laughing out loud. Alejandro says, Papi chulo. Good morning. Enola.
Good morning again. About where to post, I can remember being like 5 and 6 years old, and the bands for a wedding were usually posted at the post office, and I think the town hall too. And an older person in the community can help me out with that. But I think we're at the post office and the town hall, somewhere on the door. When the door is open, you come inside, you must have to see that, notice that so and so. And these are, they were not like marrying foreigners. These are Caymanians. Georgetown was marrying, into the family, but yet the bands are posted. I mean, the world is a much more nefarious place, and in particular Cayman. And it looks like we just dropped the ball and talking about the seamen's pension. Those poor seamen. I mean, it's something else. And the big government just is down there making all the money in the world, getting all of the benefits in the world, and they try to do nothing. And it's not PAC government, it's everybody that we've given the right and the privilege to serve. And when you can't serve the least of us, then I don't know who you really put there to serve, because the best of us don't need service. They just need you get out the dog one way.
Yes.
So, you know, that march of convenience, that hits me in the face every day. Because when you're on the high, you can say, oh, it doesn't matter, I didn't see that. When you're on the low and you see your people suffering, you see families being torn apart over land deals.
Yes.
You hear that John Brown, grandma left him piece of land and somebody married him and actually had a child for him. God bless the DNA situation. But, you know, John Brown got to vacate the family place where grandma legacy gave him, and you got to vacate and all kinds of stuff. It's terrible. I mean, it's a crime. It's a crime what these things are doing, and it's even a bigger crime for our, I call them our army, to just sit down there and do nothing at all about it. So I'm glad to hear that they're finally try to make some movement. But yeah, publish it. No matter if people don't go there today because it's not convenient and they can do otherwise. Yeah. You begin to put them up there. Some fast nose to somebody can go and look and see and talk. It will work as a deterrent, maybe not to 100%, but as a deterrent of some degree, it will work. And that's why we got the compass for instead of government always shooting money down you know, make people create an avenue that people gotta go to the compass because they need help too. It was one time the Caymanian possessive, and I went to my school and I got that man. They got that much of it. Caymanian, that's possessive.
Honey child, let me give you a little factoid this morning. You do not have to worry about the compass needing help from government, because most of the advertising government does is with the compass, probably to the tune of millions of dollars. So they don't need any more help.
You make them go ahead and publish their face and their name. When they want Cayman papers, make them do the same. It was the law one time, or some sort of expectation. Even if it wasn't a law, it was a policy attached to some place. I know one woman who used to complain vociferously, and she was a big time person, that she didn't think that she should have to put her face in the paper but that was because she wasn't a nice person, and everybody knew it. She didn't want, and it used to really work when people would go to immigration and babble. But I know she not no good or he not no good, because it would really work. People would get involved, and she didn't want that. So she babbled and did what she was doing on the side. And all of a sudden, you don't hear or see nothing of people being published or nothing. You don't know who is a Cayman. You don't know who got your rights and your privileges. But yeah, publish it. We ever used to publish before. Don't worry about nothing. Come fast, and we'll go and find out and chat.
Thank you, caller.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, you're welcome. There is this whole thing about notices, because again, they're buried in a printed paper that I hate to tell you, but nobody's really reading. And I've had a few people, even some law firms, reach out to me and say, hey, you know, we need to put up some legal notices. But of course, the law is, again, antiquated, and the law is relying on a printed publication. This is where legislators need to make a few changes. Even for job ads and stuff, the law still makes reference to having it in a printed newspaper. All of that has to change, folks, because print media is just about dead. I mean, we're putting the final coffins in that the final nails, my apologies, in that coffin. So we have to use the modalities that people are actually using in this day and age. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning again, Sandy. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
simple things from people, simple minds make simple arguments. That lady, like I said, when I came up with the idea of posting it, unfortunately, when people pass away, they're able to post that into the papers, post that on the internet saying this person has passed, you know, Borden Funeral Home does it, Churchill Funeral Home does it. So if someone's getting married, then that person should be able to post it. Regardless if Sandy Hill Marriage Company does this, don't go into that, Sandy. But if Sandy Hill Marriage Company is, you know, getting someone married, You post it online on the website and everyone else could see it. Second of all, if someone's getting married, and a lot of people are doing this, they jump and get married by convenience. Your mama have land, your daughter got land, and when your daughter passed away, then you divorce me, take the land. If you're gonna get married by convenience, you sign a prenup. You're entitled to crap.
But people not thinking that far ahead. That's the problem.
But they should. I mean, if it's convenient, it's for my convenience, not yours. So you're gonna come in for nothing. And the other thing is, 2 years ago, when COVID hit, we went to do refinance on the house and whatever, and all the bills and whatever. So because I was not married to the person I've been with for almost 30 years, right? I had to go through hoops and all kind of question. How long you know this person? Do you have kids by this? And I'm like, sweetheart, we got 4 kids together. We've been together for this amount of time, and blah blah blah, and ray. And I could tell you, what time she get up in the morning, what time she go to bed, how much time she complains to me, this and that, whatever. I had to go through, and I had to get like 4 letters of people from the mother and everybody else to prove that I've been with this lady for so long. The only thing I didn't have to do is go to the Bontown, I guess, graveyard and wake up my mother and ask her. But for people who are going to get married by convenience,
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, caller. Have you considered? I know you said you're not married, but have you considered the new civil partnership? Have you guys thought about that at all, or?
Well, we looked into that, and it's the same thing of being married, because when we looked at it and we spoke to our lawyers and everything else, the lawyer says the same thing as being married, because if you decide to separate, you're gonna be doing it. You got to go through the same legal things and the whole 9 yards. And we just figured, honestly and truly, that I'm not gonna go anywhere. He's not gonna go anywhere. He's not planning to go anywhere. And we just figured we're just going to leave it as it is, where her whole entire family is saying, we should do this, we should do that. And I'm like, I just have a jinx that every one of my siblings have tried getting married, and that has not worked for them. And my father, who was married 5 times and married my mother twice, didn't work for him. So I just said, you know what? I'm leaving it as it is. And we're quite contented. We're quite completely happy. So,
got a quick question, caller, on that I'm a little ignorant on, because I'm not very familiar with how it works for, I guess, more like civil unions, that sort of stuff with health. Say you're hospitalized and you need someone like your medical proxy, you need someone to make some medical decision. Would a civil union help allow your partner to be able to make that on your behalf, or does it fall on your next of kin, which would likely be a sibling or parent? Well, Sandy, you might know.
That's the whole point of it, really, is that you're able to have those types of rights without it being, it's a legal equivalent to marriage. It's just that it doesn't offend some church people. Is really how they worked around it. And there's a lot of people who don't fall into just couples like, maybe this caller and his partner, although he says, he still doesn't want to do it. But there could be a lot of people who don't want a traditional marriage, but they don't necessarily mind a civil partnership, because it does give them the rights of, a health insurance and being able to make certain medical decisions if something should happen to their partner and those sorts of things as well.
Well, the thing with it, Sandy, is that I know she had to get an operation. I think it was last year. Last year. And some of the decisions when we were speaking to the doctor and whatever, the doctor still included because she had me on, I guess, the secondary whatever decision needed to be made. She put me down as I put her down on mine. So any medical decision that needs to be made is done through either one of us. I know common law, even though they say, oh, well, that's common law. Common law is not legally noticed here on this island, because when we said we're common law, the bike doesn't notice common law. So I'm telling you right off the bat, a certain bank does not notice common law, because when we were going, oh, well, we common law, oh, no, we don't notice that. We had to go to lawyers, then had to go to Glass House.
So
and
that was before civil partnerships were available.
No, this was last year, February, when she had her operation.
Okay.
I don't know when civil law was, but I know a certain bank, and I will tell you that off of air, but a certain bank did not notice it, and we had to go to the lawyers, and the lawyers goes, no, we do not register, we do not notice this type of law. And then luckily, because I had to go to the Glass House, and one of the ministers there, because we want to get a waiver for the stamp duty, and they wouldn't notice what do you call it, common law, we had to go to someone in the in Glass House, one of the ministers, and because they know of our being together for so long, they were able to sign off on it. And that's only how we were able to get signed off. Because that person in the ministry had known us for God knows forever, and basically I've raised up around them, so they knew, and yeah, so that's one of the things. But like I said, this whole common law came in. You all have to wake up and realize that we are a very rare breed. Our culture is pretty much dead, and no matter how much you try to revive it, I haven't heard anything more about national trust anymore, like how they used to be brazen and everything else. We're becoming more, the blue iguanas got more rights than us right about now, because you can't do nothing to them. The green parrot has more rights than us, because you can't do nothing to them. But every single day we're being taken advantage of, and it's okay. It's like, oh, well, let's okay, man, and to leave it. We have to be on. I guess we're gonna have to go as an endangered species and put our name next to the blue iguana. And I mean, that's as simple as it is. And we sit down and we smile, and this Cayman kind. I have a T-shirt saying Cayman kind, but Cayman is mine. Sorry, and I'm not being biased to anyone else, because I've learned from many cultures and many nationalities. I learned from them. But at the same time, we have to protect what little of us, because we have nowhere else to go, Sandy. We can't pick up and go. I mean, yeah, a lot of people, how many Caymanians have said, oh, well, I'm going to England, I'm done with Cayman. 6 months later, they're right back here.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I've seen seen a lot of people return from the UK, because it's not all that it's cracked up to be sometimes.
And then I've seen people sell their home, retire,
take all their pension money,
give up all the pension money, gone, come back and need to rent and get a new job.
Yeah,
no. All right, Sandy.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, folks. Last call for any phone calls. We're going to start to wrap up the show here. We're in a little bit of overtime. So Miss Bonnie says in East End, the wedding bans were posted on a public notice board for all to see. Again, where's the public notice board? I don't, like I said, I don't go to the post office. How many of you actually go to the post office where you'd see those? And the requirement is that they're posted, they have to be up for 7 days. So, if you go to the post office every other week, you're still going to be probably missing a lot of marriages. I mean, I don't know. Gabby says, over 30 years and not married. What are you waiting for? And then she says, well, different strokes for different folks. Not everybody's end goal in life is a conventional marriage, folks. I mean, some people are very, very happy. They still live as one. I mean, it's still a union for them. They just don't need any piece of paper. But I can see from a legal perspective where there are times that, it makes sense to have it, right? So Jonathan says sugar walls come with a price sometimes. And Alejandro says, I agree. Maggie says they're posted at the place of the marriage, I guess, like the offices of some of the marriage officers. And that's correct. That is absolutely correct. But again, I mean, I went to Miss Joy's place. Oh, gosh. When did Misha get married? That was back in 2019, I think, pre-COVID. I've not been since. I don't go to a lot of weddings, really. So it's not the kind of thing. Jess says a lot of people still go to the post office. Do y'all? What mess. I need to email CNB again today, because I noticed they sent me some more like bank statements and stuff. I've told them, please stop wasting paper. If I want a bank statement, I can go online and print it off myself. I can see it. I can save it as a PDF. I can save every month in a folder. I do not need you to print those off and send those by snail mail to me when all I do is shred it and chuck it in the garbage. Trust me when I tell you it's a complete waste of paper. And I did send them a notice, and I think they've removed some accounts, and then there's some that I'm still getting stuff for. So I'm actually going to email them again today to please ask them to stop mailing me stuff. If you don't want to contact me, send it by traditional mail.
Yeah, I think I got mine where I just get an annual statement at the end of the year or something, because I mean that's the only one that they need to send. But yeah, it's so much easier to search through your electronic media to find stuff with keyword searches and stuff. The paper is just, it's all it's going to do is clutter my home.
Yeah, exactly. So Kevin's news. Now, Kevin, I know you have it dated November 17th. Am I missing something? Is that the right news?
Did I name it incorrectly? Let me just double check what I named it.
Yeah, just double check that that's the right
one. I'm on vacation mode right now. It should
I
say
know.
November 28th.
Just double check and let's make sure that that's correct. Mark says, Sandy, happy Tuesday. No system. I know. Today we lucked out. No, I mean, I think the computer already knows that it's on ice. It's going to be relegated for Marlon to deal with here in a minute once that new computer comes next week. Honey, chill. Sorry, but I need reliability at work. Before we leave today, I wanted to express our condolences to a few people. First of all, this gentleman, a lot of you may not know him by face, but in Miami, he is a legend, an icon, as they say. His name is Mr. Felipe Valls Sr. He's the founder of the landmark Versailles Cuban restaurant in Miami. He died over the weekend at age 89 years old. He's an entrepreneur. During his life, he opened some 40 restaurants. His name and Cuban cuisine is synonymous with each other. Whether it was a steaming plate of ropa vieja or a shot of rich black Cuban coffee, where people would sit down and speak in Spanish and English and whatever other languages. He is, just a staple in Little Havana and Calle Ocho. So everybody knows him. Former presidents, including Bill Clinton, went to dine there. George W. Bush popped over for breakfast. Donald Trump even visited the bakery while on the campaign trail for a second term run in 2020. So I do see a caller calling into the program. Good morning, caller. Are you trying to be live on air? Because we're still live. Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Morning, Miss Donna. Okay. Nice. Oh, beautiful. Oh, what time is that now? All right, let me do my best to come. Hopefully the security will let me in. Tell them I'm coming.
Hey, Sandy, just letting you know that caller is not transmitting.
Okay. Who is that? Who is that in the background? Oh, hello, honey.
Sandy, no one else could hear the caller.
How are you? Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna make it. Kevin, you ready to roll out with me this morning? Because I do have to hook up with Kevin for a little meeting. But Kevin, maybe we should go to this together and just make it one big thing. Then we can grab lunch afterwards.
Can't hear what she's saying. Can you hear me?
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks. Yeah, that's wonderful news. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ms. Donna. She does a lot of heritage events all the time. 11 o'clock. Sandy, sounds like we need to get going.
None of us were able to hear anything. Can you hear me now? Because I was trying to talk to you to let you know we couldn't hear anything.
Oh, yes. I can hear you now. I'm not sure if you were muted because...
Yeah, no, I wasn't muted when that caller came in. You know how we were doing audio tests last night? However that person called, it did not come through the board. So I couldn't hear the conversation. And also when I was trying to speak to you, you couldn't hear me.
Did everybody else hear Miss Donna? I'm not sure if people heard her. So that one came through WhatsApp on my regular phone. So she didn't call the show phone. But
Yeah, I had no. All I heard is you invited me to somewhere right after, and I didn't. I don't know what it was. See, other people are saying they didn't hear it either.
Oh, huh. I didn't hear her no. Oh, so I wonder, can somebody else call me? Anybody else who has my regular phone? Siobhan, call me on WhatsApp, because I noticed that the settings were all for the pro chat, which I thought would have been fine, but we can adjust it. We can figure it out on the fly. So anybody else willing to call me on WhatsApp, call me right now. You got my number.
Here's
You
a
got my
live
digits.
test. You and I did some testing yesterday, and everything seemed to work out. But this,
Yeah,
now
so let
this
me
is what
just
a
check.
live
So
on air test.
it's on pro chat. Maybe I need to change it to main for the microphone. Hold on now. Hello, caller. Good morning. Can you hear her, Kevin? You can't
Nope,
hear her?
not
All right,
hearing
hold on.
anything.
We're trying to
Can you hear
figure
me?
out why people can't hear you, honey child.
Can you hear me, Sandy?
So all right. Well, hold on one second. I'm sure we want people to hear it. So give me 1 second here. Let me try to figure out what setting I should change this to. I've definitely gotten calls before through this without. Let me change it back. Hold on. Using
Sandy, can
this,
you hear me?
yeah, we did take callers recently on this, and it worked. But hold on 1 second. But I think people on radio can actually hear you, which is interesting. I think, can somebody on radio confirm if they can hear Siobhan for me? Keep talking, Siobhan. Yeah, I think they can hear you, but you know what? I think through the board now, this is where I'd have to change you. Try now.
Hi, good morning. Hello.
You can hear her now, right?
Now I hear her. Can you hear me? Because
that means that, let me just make a note here of what I actually needed to change.
It seems like you still can't hear me, though. Can you hear me, Sandy?
Child, I got to write all these things down because the brain not so young anymore.
So
incoming WhatsApp calls, an alternate phone. So basically, I need to change the mic settings there to pro to main. Okay, that's interesting. All right, caller, you said you had some thoughts then on was it the marriages of convenience?
Yeah, I heard somebody. I was listening in, trying to get some work done here, and I actually try not to call in, but this one particularly struck a nerve with me, and they were speaking about these marriages of convenience, and you said, the Mr. So-and-so, whoever, just hypothetical human, is marrying Miss So-and-so from the side, but he's 80 and she's 20, right? Like Jonathan said, even the old men need to be happy, and I don't have no problem with that. The issue that I actually have with it is I do have a great disdain for these marriages of convenience, but who I more feel it for and get upset about are actually the former wives of these seamen, because they were the ones who stayed here and held down the fort when these men were out to sea. And when these men up and leave them in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and go and find these new wives with their baby kids, that's what I call them, baby kids, it is these women who are left holding the bag, who are left struggling, who oftentimes were not able to go out and make a living because they stayed home and held down the fort. And now I see it all the time. These women are in the supermarkets struggling. Can you buy me a soup? Can you buy me a lunch? So for me, the least of my worries is the idiot that went to marry somebody else who he thought would have her best interest at heart. And oftentimes this is not a situation where, these people were divorced and, he moved on. No. These are, I'm leaving my 65-year-old wife for a 25-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And then when the what hits the fan, then it's often the first wife who comes back while the Miss Honduras, Miss Jamaica, Miss Trinidad, Miss whatever you want to call her, is getting the seaman's pension. When the man dies, guess who's getting the money from the seaman's pension? Not the first wife who actually made it possible for him to go out there. Oh, no. She gets no benefit beyond the time that she's married to him.
Yeah.
That's the part of the law that needs to be revised and changed and looked at. The only person, in my opinion, who should be, in terms of dependent, that should be entitled to that money is the person who was the spouse at the time you were a seaman. Kill it dead. So that will eliminate any idea about this seaman's pension that they get, because that is the only thing that I see that government ensure that they do a good job with. And so, I don't know, they must find it very attractive. But if any government MP is listening to me, that'd be something to consider, that the only person dependent, unless the first wife is passed, the only dependent would be the person who was the spouse at the time of your seamanship.
I agree with you 1,000%. And we've said it on this program before. They need to curtail it because, quite honestly, what is most interesting about this, believe it or not, is the fact that that benefit keeps going up despite the fact that the seamen are actually dying. Now, Siobhan, hang on the line because I'm curious to know if you guys can hear both Siobhan, which is on my personal phone via WhatsApp, and the other caller. Caller, welcome back to the program. Go ahead and talk for me because I'm curious to see if we could actually have people calling on two different phones. Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear? Can you hear both, Kevin?
Yes, I can hear Siobhan.
Can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Siobhan. Sonny, give me 1 second, Siobhan. This is for you, darling. I gotta give you hands up. I think, honestly and truly, the law should have some protection for the seaman's wives. If you decide that you're gonna leave your wife, there could be a protection for her until she passes.
Yes, absolutely.
There should be a protection. I don't care because.
Sorry to cut you off, but what I don't believe that the public purse should be made to cover are these Jonah come lately wives who had no idea about probably even where Cayman was or would have been. No, the law office should offer no protection for them. If the seaman wants to take his money and piss it down the drain with him and his baby kids, that's his glory. I shouldn't be made. You shouldn't be made. Nor the public purse be made to be paying for no Jonah come lately wife. No, sir.
Oh, and one of the things is that I remember when my father divorced my mom for the second time. Even when she got sick, critical ill, we were able to go to clinical, and she was able to still get her seamanship as the wife because he was a seaman. And ironically enough, when they put her name up as a wife in the Seaman's Hall, and he was right across from her. And I'm like, even in death, they can't separate, right? But there could be a protection for those ladies who put their back in. They did not finish school. They didn't do this. They stay home to care the kids, raise the kids, do all of that. I'm sorry, but let me tell you this. Having a young girl, like, I don't know if y'all watched the Sinbad, because Sinbad is sick right now. He had a stroke last year. But Sinbad did a comedian show. He said he does not want a young girl because a young woman does not know a sign of a stroke. Right? You could be stroking out and she'd be like, "What's wrong with your face, baby? What's wrong with your face?" When you get a woman that know a sign of a stroke, that's the type of woman that you want. Baby, come here, take this pill. You're good.
Oh my God. You almost made me spit out my tea just now. Try and stop it.
But go watch the Saturday. You'll see it.
You know what you're talking about. In the words of my grandma, a working old thing is better than a young thing anytime. And I believe that. My grandparents have been married for well over 50 years. My grandfather's a seaman. And I can tell you what, he better don't bring no joy to come lately girl around us, because that be the end of him and her.
Oh, God.
I can't take y'all. West Bay has officially entered the show.
And the thing of it is,
Rest assured, my family don't have that problem. My grandfather is not that kind of man. I dare tell him about that.
I will tell you this. What really gets me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I hear a lot of this in the places where they'll come to you and say, well, I need a man to pay my rent. I need a man to do this. I need a man to take care of me because in my country, the man take care of me. So what the hell are you doing here?
That's why don't go home. Go home. You go.
No, but I'm just saying.
Go home. Go home.
Because Sandy, I hear a lot of this. And a lot of the men would rather go and pay their rent, pay their this stuff, instead of taking care of the lady at home.
Well, she saw like she looking like she needed to be an escort. She need to change a career, become a luxury companion of some sort, because that's the only or a sugar baby or whatever she want, a books, whatever she want to call him. But I am sorry, I am sick. And like I said, if the seamen are stupid enough to go and give them their 2 shillings, then that's their glory. But the wives or ex-wives or whatever should not have to be holding the bag. And more often than not, it is when these men become old, can't wipe their behinds, it be that same wife that they fought tooth and nail to make sure that they didn't get a dime or that their new wife got this or their new wife got that. It's often her that has to go back and clean his behind. I tell you what, they look at me.
Yes,
well, let me tell you this. It is facts, and I think that they should do the law should do some protection for the seamen. They put them up on high pedestal, protect the wives.
It hurts my heart to see these elderly women who literally are the backbone of this country, who literally made sure that they kept things safe on the home front, that they held it together, that our economy could grow, that we could to make this country to be something and somewhere. And then this is the regard that we have for them. No, I saw it. No, it's time for the law to catch up with the times. They're catching up to the marriages of convenience, or they need to catch up to the inconvenience of these marriages of convenience. What I just spoke about is one of them. I am tired of seeing it.
Yes, sir. All right, my dear. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
All right, Sandy. We end the show with a good note, and I am sorry that I spoke too soon about your computer. But yeah, there we go.
No man, it's still doing good. I just had to adjust one little setting in one of the mic areas, because the issue here is there's multiple inputs coming in to different mic settings. So one little adjustment, we got both of you on separate phones now. So we have you on the regular Bobo number calling on the direct line, and we have Siobhan on WhatsApp. And this is quite an ideal situation because some people can't remember the Bobo number half the time. So if you call me even my regular number, at least via WhatsApp, which is I'm pulling that through the computer, you see. So that works. Right. So yeah, we get there, man.
So are you going to start it?
Oh, you can't hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
When the other caller was on, you couldn't hear me.
I don't know if Siobhan was just overpowering you because she has that tendency with men in particular. So yeah, boy, she's a little bit strong, You got to have some backative to be able to deal with her. So I'm not sure.
You better have some backbone and some stout to deal with Siobhan, because I'll tell you,
I hear you.
Nobody now going to jump in her pot.
I'm not so sure that I couldn't hear you, but she was definitely overpowering. So
okay.
Yeah, but the radio has been good. Chuck said he could hear everybody on the radio perfectly fine. So, but I think some people online couldn't hear her, and now they could hear her. So that worked out. So I'm just making some notes.
All right, I will suggest that we put Siobhan ahead of marriage for convenience laws and seaman laws. Put her on the board. Come on, put her on the board.
You got a committee, a little board, and she'll be the chairman or chairperson.
Yeah, she'll be the chairman. I will guarantee you there'll be a lot of single heartful, brokeful men on this island. Trust me.
Siobhan will be taking it out on everybody. No, denied. I can see that. I can see that denied stamp now. Denied. You will not be married.
You are not the father. Let's go.
You're not the convenience that we're looking for.
She's gonna go to one of those places and get a stamp made, and the stamp is gonna be.
I thought Siobhan was still on the line. Oh, you're not there. Hello, Siobhan.
My daughter had told me must hang up, but tell my friend that I say I ain't not worried about no lonely old man. He gonna be all right. Listen to me. These seamen, every port they went to, it looked like they dropped off children. They had enough women for 3 lifetimes. They're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. But like I said, until the law, until the law catches up with the inconvenience of these marriages of convenience, I do want to hear nothing about him and he lonely heart.
Here, Jonathan.
Jonathan
says those seamen, they knew the difference between wet seas and dry beach.
Siobhan, before you go.
Jonathan said they knew the difference, or they know the difference between wet seas and dry beach.
You hear what I tell you? You hear what I tell you?
Siobhan.
My mother told me right now all the girls is looking is a nurse or a purse. And so all the men are looking is a nurse or a purse. So they're gonna have just switch it up a little bit and look a purse, because all the girls now, the baby kids and that coming days looking a purse.
And you know what is even more egregious about, on a more serious note, what is even more egregious about this whole situation as it relates to marriages of convenience is that a lot of times it's not even just the spouse who's going to be gaining this immense convenience of they start to bring family. They start to bring 1,000,001 relatives. All of a sudden they got 5 children that now they're bringing in, and those children acquire status, and they're going to get Seamen's benefits because now they're a product of that new marriage.
But Siobhan, Sandy, the other thing is too, is that when you see them bring the kids, then the first thing you say, my mom is not feeling well, my mother has to come up, and then the mother has to come up as well. You have not seen that?
Sick mother is them, and they're coming with their bag of baby kids. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all the baby kids. I really am. And these poor old women who got grown children got chased behind this man when he 80-something years old, changing he pampers like she not had enough of that in her lifetime. No man, miss me with this foolishness.
What a mess.
Miss me.
Because I'm going to tell you a story, Sandy, really quickly. I know someone who I grew up with, whose father had a business and everything else. Father passed away. The son took over the business. The son ran the business. Yes, the father was married to another lady. When the business got sold, when the building got sold, and I'll tell you exactly the building after you come off here. When the building got sold, the wife took majority of it. Now the son has to go somewhere else and rent to open up a business. And the son barely got anything. So I mean, and that's somebody that everybody knows, you know. And the thing of it is that
well, I hope
my
all
father,
of these men are listening.
My father thought let me tell you something right now. When my father divorced my mother the second time, he thought that he was going to get a young girl.
So wait a minute. Your
And
father,
my mother
father divorced her. Let me try. When you keep saying the second time.
Twice.
So your mom divorced her and got married, and then they divorced again?
He got married. He married my mother twice.
Wow. Okay.
And when he went to divorce her,
nice, he had to do it twice.
Twice. There we go. But guess what? He made a decision in his head.
Old thing is better than a young thing.
Listen to me. Here's a joke. He went to make a mistake and found a young thing and thought that he was going to marry her. My mother went to him. Listen to me. My mother went to him and she said, if you find she said, you found a jacket that you want to wear at not Churchill, Captain Theo got a jacket that you want to wear, go get married, see what happened to you. Go get married, I bear both you at that pulpit, and you know he didn't do it?
Because a good
He did not
is better
do
than
it.
a young thing.
She said, let me tell you something. Of all the BS that I
people
took.
who are listening to the program and have no clue who Captain Theo is, I think you need to try and tell them.
Barton's funeral home.
Yes,
Barton's
that's
Right. And he had, and she used to say he had from the, I don't know if a lot of Cape-Monians don't remember this, but he had from the cradle to the casket.
From the cradle to the grave, Bobo. He even used to be the undertaker.
Right. He used to sell cradles, cribs, everything, bed, everything to the casket.
Listen to what Alejandro
sold
said.
Everything.
Alejandro says, you know what's funny? These seamen not listening to this show because they got a Nokia 5200 or something, so they're not busy.
Yeah,
Oh
but
my
that,
God.
but that, but that,
They-
but that,
here,
but
you
that
know,
Miss Jamaica,
they're
Miss
not, they're not,
Philippines,
they're not
she
business
got
about,
a 1400 phone.
they're not business about what we sing unless they listen to Bobo.
Mm-hmm.
They might be
Go
listening to
on.
Bobo, you know, John, Alejandro. This is the this is
might
the
You
number
know,
one show
you
now,
know,
you know, so you never know. They might be tuned in too.
yeah.
What
They
a
might be
Because I
mess.
trying
mean,
to get a young thing.
Yes.
They might be tuning in. Cause Sandra is the new she's the new matchmaker, match.com.
No,
well, like I,
sir.
like,
Jonathan
like,
says if the man and the woman are both 80, they both need their Pampers changed. Christopher
Foolishness. Jonathan don't know what he talking about. That's how
Christopher
I know
says
Jonathan born in the 2000s.
Christopher says scholarships are also at risk. Siobhan, I got a direct
Thank
call
you.
coming in, so I gotta hang up on you now. Let me see if this person's
Bye-bye.
trying to get on the. They keep calling me, and I keep saying that I'm on air, so I can only assume
They want to
that
go on air.
that they're trying to come on the show, but I'm not really sure. Oh, okay. So Kevin's got to run. All right, folks. We'll go ahead and end the program now. Thank you guys so much.
all
Thank
right.
you, Chris.
Well, thank you so much,
thank you,
Sandy.
Paula.
We ended on a good note. So there we go.
Yes. Beautiful. Thanks, guys, very much for again another very interesting and lively show. Kevin, appreciate it. I know
My
you got
pleasure.
things to do. I'll try to make it over to SciFec. Thank you, Alejandro. Don't worry, this will be a conversation that we will undoubtedly circle back to on more than one occasion. You can rest assured, because the problems are not going away. So here's your morning headlines. Check out the more in-depth analysis of your news on Facebook and YouTube. Please follow us on social media at Cayman Mall Road.
Hello, I'm Kevin Watler, and this is your CMR Daily Buzz. 4 people were arrested for immigration-related offenses on Wednesday at the West Bay Road Public Beach during an enforcement operation conducted by the Compliance Unit of Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman (WORK), the Department of Commerce and Investment (DCI), and the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service. 3 of those detained were arrested for working without work permits, and 1 was handed over to the Customs and Border Control for overstaying. As 3 armed men were attempting to rob a restaurant in Prospect Friday night, police on patrol in the area caused them to flee empty-handed. The crooks were not caught. Wanted man Mitchum Wood was located and arrested by police officers during an operation in Northside on Saturday. Based on observations made at the time of the arrest, officers had reasons to suspect Wood of being involved in a burglary which had occurred earlier that day at a service station on Bawden Town Road. The Cayman Islands Customs and Border Control Service are processing more Cuban migrant arrivals. Groups arrived on both Thursday and on Saturday. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service and Cayman Coast Guard are informing the public of several road closures, traffic diversions, and boating restrictions that will be taking place to facilitate the Cayman Islands Airshow flying display and aircraft exhibit on Saturday. Details of all diversions, restrictions, and closures are posted on the Cayman Mall Road website, Facebook, or Instagram pages. The Ministry of Tourism and Transport has welcomed 2 new members. Eldon Chisholm is the policy advisor and Latoya Stewart is the senior human resources manager. They took up the positions earlier this month. Also, the Ministry for District Administration and Lands has promoted 2 internal candidates to the role of Director and Deputy Director within the Department of Lands and Survey. Now for your CMR weather update. It's brought to you by WG Charters. Sunrise at 6:41. Partly cloudy skies with a chance of scattered thunderstorms. Now winter temperatures at 86 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity at 72% like the forecast calls for. It will feel like it's in the mid-90s. Winds east-northeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour and the sun sets at 5:45. At nighttime, the temperature falls to the high 70s. Looking forward, similar weather conditions are expected, except the winds will pick up a little stronger later this week. Now for some regional and international news. JP Farms, Jamaica's most prominent commercial grower of bananas, announced it will be taking legal action against fraudsters in Canada who have misrepresented its brand by selling bananas bearing fake JP branding. JP Farms says it wants the fake JP branding removed from Canadian markets as soon as possible. 4 Jamaicans have been charged with lottery scamming following a police military operation in St. Anne, Jamaica on Saturday. The operation was conducted in search of illegal guns and ammunition, drugs, lottery scamming paraphernalia, wanted persons, and persons of interest. The world's largest active volcano has erupted in Hawaii on Sunday for the first time in nearly 4 decades. This is the first eruption since 1984. If you would like to know more on any of these stories, visit caymanmallroad.com or follow Cayman Mall Road on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. That's it for now on Daily Buzz. Thank you for joining me. Please stay safe and God bless.